Well, hello again. This is Cameron from Obnoxious Anonymous, and welcome to another Twin Peaks Thought of the Day. Today is Wednesday, September 2nd, 2020. I am once again joined by Mr. Jeremiah from Take the Ring. How are you?
How's it going?
Doing well. So yesterday you hit me up about doing one of these videos, and now that was strange. So now I am hitting you up for tonight's video. So I figured, yesterday's was kind of short, so figured let's resume where we left off. I know we were talking about Lost Highway and all that, so we don't actually have to start there, but I just mean in general, wherever we want to talk about. First thing I do want to bring up is I went crazy and purchased a bunch of Twin Peaks t-shirts that came flying my way on Facebook.
Oh man, so where's that one from?
I don't remember the company, but you know how sometimes, like, because you're like into a show, you'll get those sponsored ads, and so I was like, okay, well, let me just look and out of like 50 t-shirts, I found 4 of them that I thought were good enough for me to get. One of those, of course, is the original Firewalk With Me poster, which I do think is like one of the great film posters. I know you got a poster lately, but that wasn't the theatrical poster. This is what it was. In fact, I would argue that this poster, this is what I saw in Premiere Magazine in the summer of 1992, and I almost like exploded in delight.
Oh yeah.
I would argue that this poster is for a movie that does not exist.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. And I was actually, if I found that shirt, the regular movie poster, I would buy that shirt. So like, yeah. I like a lot of the fan art. I like a lot of the stuff, but it's rare for me to go, I am getting that. So that Japanese kind of reworking kind of fan art of Firewalk With Me, I thought was really rad.
Right.
I like the original poster. If I found a shirt that was the cover of the VHS tape of the pilot with the motorcycle and the swinging stoplight and I think the necklace is on that too. I think.
Right.
But you know what I mean? Like the original movie, like I would buy that shirt or poster. I would buy the Firewalk With Me cover poster. That's pretty rad. But yeah, the tagline on that always gets me. In a town like Twin Peaks, no one is innocent. It's like, I think they were just kind of, I think that the marketing people, or was it New Line? No, it was Janice Film.
It was New Line. Yeah.
Okay. I think they were just probably like everybody at Cannes, and so I know I brought this up yesterday. Bob Ingalls, I heard a Bob Ingalls interview, and he was talking about Cannes and how there's misconceptions and how there was no booze and stuff. But he said it was kind of silent. People didn't really know what to think. I think some people were emotionally overwhelmed. Some people thought this was a retread of stuff we already knew. And you and I have talked about this a lot, but Firewalk With Me is like it's a super big mixed bag, especially if it's 1992, right after this gigantic show crashes and burns. And then they decide to come out. Lynch decides to do a prequel about Laura Palmer. You already know who the killer is, and like 20 years later, we're looking back and like, well, he was doing this really deep, psychosexual, crazy film about a woman who's being abused and how her life is spiraling out of control and all. Like, there's a lot of stuff that we get kind of now that no one understood or got back then. And basically, my point is, I think that the New Line marketers were the same. They sat down and watched this, like, okay, cool, we're going to make a poster, a tagline. What are we going to do? And they sat down and watched it and went, okay, so like a horror film. Like I remember at the time, people are like, the trailer was cut like a straight up horror film.
It is my belief that New Line Cinema thought that what they had was an artsy Nightmare on Elm Street on their hands.
Well, which at the time, that's all they knew how to do anyway. Like
right.
New Line was the Nightmare on Elm Street. It's not that they had nothing else going on, but that's what made them famous. That's what they were good at. And I think I think you're right. I think they're like, this is a nightmare and it's kind of dark and scary. This is what we're going to do. So that's why you got that kind of clever tagline. That's why you've got the, you know, I wouldn't necessarily call that poster Freddy-like, but you know, I don't know.
No, it's, I mean, if you watch, I've said it before, but if you watch the first 30 minutes of Nightmare on Elm Street 4 Dream Master, it is Firewalk With Me. The first 30 minutes.
Yeah, you're right.
You're right. If you look at her boyfriend, that's totally Bobby Briggs. She looks like Laura Palmer. They're in the high school. You know, Freddie's after her. Her mom's kind of like, you know, they have this, there's some tension between her and her mother. And it's like,
yeah.
I remember going back and watching Dream Master after Twin Peaks, and my friends were saying, this is very Twin Peaks. And I was like, it is, isn't it? Like before Kirsten perishes, you know? So yeah, and you know, what's funny is that now that Lynch has the distribution away from New Line Cinema, and so they were able to put it out on Blu-ray and Criterion. What's interesting is that New Line, if you get the actual New Line VHS or the DVD of it, actually has 10 seconds of mood and wind before the movie begins, because it had to go over the New Line logo. But because the New Line logo is not there anymore, it now starts without it.
Yeah. And there are, I really want to get, I have a decent working good VCR and I want to get it hooked up, and there's some stuff I want to find because there are versions of Firewalk With Me, the VHS tape, that are slightly different. There's it's funny, I didn't think about this for years, and it might have been you or somebody brought it up, that the end when Laura is killed, I remember that like viscerally being more violent, like more sounds and more blood. Maybe maybe that's all psychological, maybe it's all in my head, but like somebody else has brought that up too, that there were more sound. Now it's more about the music swelling, and you know, it seems like there's less. It
was at Cannes, and I wish I had it, you know. And the problem is my office is completely destroyed right now, but I actually have the Cannes Film Festival log for Firewalk With Me, and it is a longer runtime, not much longer, but it's a longer runtime, and does depict and does say there's immense graphic violence, no music at the end, so you just heard Leland killing her. The music was put in for release. Personally, I think this is, again, in retrospect, right? Hindsight's always 20/20. I wish Lynch had put together the full film, right? The full movie that he had wanted to make back then. They may not have had time to do it, but let's say he put together the whole film, showed that at Cannes, showed the 3.5 hour, 4 hour cut at Cannes. And then I would look at the audience reception and go and kind of make my cuts a little bit based on that. Because I think if they had shown what is essentially the fan edit that's going around right now, I think there would have been a better reception for the movie overall, because it doesn't leave out all the other characters.
Yeah. So interesting. Oh, real quick before I forget, there's also somebody else. It might have been John Thorne, might have been, can't remember who it was, but like there might even be like a fade, like right before the Bowie scene or after the Bowie scene cuts to white, or like fades to white instead of black. So like there's a handful of tiny little things that aren't in the Blu-ray, or that were only in certain versions, maybe the first run or the first printing of the VHS version. Joey,
what's up, guys?
Oh, real quick, Cameron, can you remember, speaking of VHS tapes, the final episode of season 2?
Yes.
When Cooper confronts Laura, or Laura's doppelganger, did it always cut to Wyndham Earle's face, like a bad crop of Wyndham Earle's face that was all? Because I had it did. Okay, because I had the VHS tapes back in the day, and I don't remember that quick flash. And every time I watch it now, I'm like, is that new? Did they change that? Because I can never remember that. I think I'm always just kind of like overwhelmed with all that, and it's a really quick. It's absolutely. A really quick cut. Oh, but I never remembered Laura like turning into Wyndham Earl. I don't ever.
No, remember. It's just because the lighting effect. It's a lighting effect, and all of a sudden you just get like a flash. It's sort of like an Exorcist kind of thing.
Maybe that's it. I'm probably getting it confused with the Exorcist because.
What I love is when Cooper's standing there, and then all of a sudden Laura's there, and then she like screams in his face, right? But if you turn up the sound, I've noticed this ever since, even before when it first aired, you can hear her scream like it almost sounds like track 50 or something like that. You can hear her scream rev up, and then Laura's scream actually revs up. So you can hear it almost like pre-roll tape of her screaming before she starts screaming.
Totally. Absolutely.
It's quite amusing. And then of course the final episode of season 2 inserts footage from the Wild at Heart opening credits. So, which I'm trying to figure out how on earth Lynch got the rights from Samuel Goldwyn to put it in Twin Peaks.
Oh, the flame burst?
Yeah.
That's from
it's the opening credit. Yo, absolutely. They're that exact flame.
Same flame?
It's the exact same flame from the opening credits. And I'm not just like, oh, it's another angle of the shot. No, that shot is in the opening credits of Wild at Heart.
Interesting. I know exactly what you're talking about. And I always kind of thought they looked similar, but
no, it is the exact shot. It's like when Kubrick gave Ridley Scott footage of the opening scene of The Shining, he gave him like 5 hours of flying footage for the end of Blade Runner, and he said you can use, just make sure whatever shot you use is not in The Shining. You know what I mean? And so that's why the whole ending of Blade Runner with them driving is all the exterior stuff is Kubrick footage for The Shining, right?
Didn't know that either.
But what's funny about that, it is. Well, because Ridley Scott says, why should we go out there and shoot footage when we could just ask Kubrick? I'm sure he has footage. He got like 5 hours of flying footage. So
it makes sense because Alien, I think, in my opinion, Alien is obviously like the quality of the space shots, the ships and the space and the thing, it's Alien wouldn't be Alien without 2001, and probably even Ridley Scott would agree. And I can't remember where I was. I was young. I was a young man, much younger than Joey here. But I learned. I think it was a buddy of mine who was way into movies. Told me the reason that 2001 looks so great and those ships look so great is because those models are huge. They're like the size of my house. He's like those ships are like. He goes, a lot of movies they just made like the little ships and models. You got your little TIE fighters and stuff this big. Like Kubrick's the shit in 2001 is like 40 feet long models and stuff. And so they have all the detail and all of that stuff.
And Kubrick and Ridley Scott are intertwined anyway because Barry Lyndon led into Ridley Scott making The Duelists, things like that. So it's like,
yeah, interesting.
So they've been intertwined. So, but the reason why I bring it up is the fire that Lynch used for the ending of Twin Peaks season 2, it's not an outtake. It's an actual shot from Wild at Heart. Like, it's not like, oh, well, we just shot 5 hours of flames, so here's another shot of it. It is an actual shot from the opening. The only difference is I think the credit is missing, whatever is the credit that's in front of that. Right.
Remove the chyron, roll tape.
I mean, I'm sure that you've read that season 2 finale script, right?
I have it. I've glanced through it at specific parts. I haven't sat down and read it, but I know that
the idea different. But I mean, the idea that, the idea is that Lynch took it and kind of did his own thing, and he did, but there's still a lot of the script in there. Where he kind of went wild is the the last 20 minutes of the show. That's different. But what I found interesting was the restraint Lynch had, because the writers definitely go in the direction that Wyndham Earle is going to rape Annie.
Yeah.
And Lynch, who's, I mean, that's kind of in his wheelhouse to go in that direction. If you look at like what happens to Lula and Wild at Heart with Uncle Pooch and all that kind of stuff, he took it out. I thought that was really interesting. That like he was like, we don't need to go there. I thought that was interesting. An interesting touch.
I think that ties into what I was saying. Was it really yesterday when we did the video?
Yeah.
Anyway, I think that it's what I love season 2. That's a brilliant escalation of, like I was saying, you got what can we do after Laura Palmer? Well, we've got Cooper's actual Moriarty level nemesis, and he comes in. We don't know much about him. Then we learn a little bit about him, and then he takes Leo Johnson, who's the meanest dog villain of season 1, and he breaks him down. And then he kidnaps our hero, the shaman, Major Briggs. So like the wise man is now trapped by this guy. And there's this just like escalation, right? And then he's going to take Cooper's woman, his new woman, away. And, but then but in the background the whole time is you've got the Black Lodge thing ramping up, and you've got Hawk like, hey man, like, yeah, the real world is fine and dandy, but you're going to cross this threshold and you're going to meet your shadow self, and it's going to be real bad, and then they finally get there. And I think I think if Wyndham Earle tried to pull that kind of stuff in that final scene, it would have kind of taken some of the terror away from, you know what I mean? Because you would be you'd be focused on Wyndham Earle and Annie, as opposed to being in this, like, it's clear, like when Cooper walks through that. I even remember the first time I saw it, when Cooper walks through the curtain for the first time, and he walks in the room. I'm like, whatever this Wyndham Earle dude has going on, like, he's out of his element too.
Right.
Like, you don't see him for another, whatever, 10 minutes or whatever, but you're just like, oh man, like this is a whole new thing. And Wyndham Earle is in trouble too. And whatever his plans were are now out the window. And I just think that's a smart was a smart move by Lynch, and that did show restraint. And I think I don't think it was out of sentiment or anything like that. I think it was like, hey, we've built up to this, and this is this other place, and everybody's out of their element, and everybody needs to be focused on this place and not what Wyndham Earle may or may not do. And yeah.
Well, it's like if Wyndham Earle had actually tried something like that with Annie to exert some sort of power, then the whole scene of him leading her into the circle of sycamores and having that power over her is negated, right? I mean, like this by taking out the one, but leaving it in where he's controlling her and brings her into the Glastonbury Grove, and then she's kind of zombified. It shows how much power he has until he walks through those curtains.
Does she still exit the room in the same way in the original script? It's like she the first one out in that script?
She doesn't. I mean, they both just appear out of the Black Lodge.
Okay.
I
wasn't sure if that was something that maybe he changed too.
No, the big thing they changed. The big thing he changed was the in the Red Room. They turned it almost into, like we were talking about earlier, a Nightmare on Elm Street, where it's like there's different rooms, different scenarios. Cooper's in a dentist chair, and Bob is like the dentist, and so they kind of pull that Dream Master thing of when Kirsten's at the nurse in the high school, and Freddie is the school nurse, and that type of thing. So, and I don't know what they honestly were thinking in that moment. I don't think that they had assumed that the Red Room was going to be Cooper's dream world. I don't think they had come to that. I will say something else about the TV show from that sequence. I think when Cooper walks through the red drapes and when Wyndham leads Annie through the red drapes, those are so much better effects than the Firewalk With Me drapes. When Leland comes walking through the drapes and Firewalk With Me, the movie's way more expensive than the TV show, and yet it looks cheaper in that moment. In the series, there is such a transparency between the curtains on the woods. You can really like see through the curtains, and they're so beautiful, and the waves so great with the wind. And then in the movie, it's just like a superimposed effect. It's like, I don't know. It's like it lost a little bit of the magic there.
Interesting.
Whatever compositing they did on the show was a little bit more I don't know,
cinematic,
love and care into that compositing than, like you said, they just superimposed it on the movie.
I think the movie, honestly, it's like, I know everyone worships and thinks it's a masterpiece, blah blah blah, but look, Lynch wrote it, cast it, filmed it, edited it, and released it in 11 months. It's the fastest he's ever turned around a project in his life. So Firewalk With Me does have a rush component to it. I don't know why he was trying to get to the Cannes Film Festival with it. I guess because Wild at Heart had him on such a high. He's just like, I got to premiere at Cannes. Probably would have been smart to just not and just take his time and come up with an edit. I mean, because everybody always says, you know, like, oh, Firewalk With Me is his greatest film. And it's like, you do realize that if New Line had given him a 3-hour runtime he could go to, he probably would have taken that time up, and he would have made the film much richer than what we got. I think that the movie we have, they imposed a 135-minute runtime on him. The movie's 2 hours and 14 minutes and 37 seconds or something like that. It's like ridiculous. He went right up to the minute they gave him.
Yeah, and just been watching a bunch of interviews real quick, and Lynch, someone asked him recently, I'm talking like 2013, 2014 recently, they asked him if we know, I think this is before the entire mystery came out, before the missing pieces came out. Someone asked him, he was overseas doing a speech, and they asked him if the Firewalk With Me was his we've heard for 20 years that there's missing scenes, deleted scenes, and he's like, yep, it's true. He's like, so I forget if it's like, are you happy with the cut, or is this the actual cut, or whatever? And he's like, this is the movie. There are deleted scenes, but this is the movie. And I've gone through a ton of interviews lately, like just within the last couple of weeks, and like basically, I agree with you 100%, but he hasn't admitted that. Like,
why would he?
No, exactly. Like, he's never said, well, you know, I had this time restraint, I couldn't do it, you know, but it's, you know, that's just, it is what it is. I mean, I just think it's interesting. It's interesting that what he does, basically what I'm doing is going through all these interviews and finding out what he does and doesn't answer. So I've been trying to find some of his like concrete influences, like people that have influenced him. And like, now that I'm actually like looking for that shit, he's like super tight-lipped. I think that like a lot of what his mystique, I think a lot of the stuff surrounding him would be completely shattered if he would just like talk about, like, because I get confused because Scorsese, love Scorsese. I didn't forget his movies. I just like hearing him talk because he's like nice. Yep. He's the nicest guy. He's super nice. He's super funny. You know, people like, he'll go on like Charlie Rose and they'll be like, name us your top 5 biggest influences in your life. Well, of course you got Kurosawa. Of course. I mean, you know,
yeah. And Hitchcock's the wrong man.
And Kubrick, you know, and then he'll talk like 15 minutes about why he likes Kubrick, how Kubrick influenced him, the Kubrick movies that he's ripped off, you know, like Scorsese's like the most open, honest, you know, and I guess just in my mind, like, you know, 30 years or whatever being into movies. And I'm like, because I'm like, you know, I'm writing some more video stuff and I want to talk about like The Wizard of Oz and some stuff. It's like, well, yeah, I mean, it's obviously an influence, right? But like I had to dig to find, like, other than obviously like Wild at Heart and obviously some shots in The Return and stuff. Mm-hmm. No, I want to, where is the quote that he says, yes, Wizard of Oz is a big influence on me. And like,
never.
Like, there's one. I found one article, one when he was just like, oh yeah, I love the Wizard of Oz, like, but like people are, Buñuel, I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Someone, they're always attributing him as an influence on Lynch, always.
Right.
And then I found an interview, and they're like, have you seen, so can I talk to you about Buñuel? He's like, yeah, I never seen it. Whatever I forget the most famous one.
It's the one with the
Angel.
It's the one with the ear and the ants on it.
Is that the is it Exterminating Angel?
No, it's
that one doesn't
on share or something. Angelou.
Yeah, that one. They specifically asked about that one. He's like, nah, I never seen it. And they're like, really? And he's like, no, never seen it. They're like, with Salvador Dali and all this stuff. And he's like, yeah, I never saw it. So it's like he's either lying, or he is, or he honestly never seen it. Maybe he saw pieces of it. The thing with Lynch is like, maybe he heard somebody talking about it.
Yeah.
Maybe he heard somebody talk about the ear with the ants, and that stuck in his brain for 20 years. Oh, and that, like, the Kenneth Anger stuff.
Yeah.
Like, Kenneth Anger hates him because he stole Blue Velvet. But like, I can't find an interview that he stole Blue Velvet, the song being used in. That was a Kenneth Anger thing.
Well, you won't say anything in Wild at Heart either, with the dog in the hand coming from Joe Jimbo from Kurosawa.
Oh, yeah. He might have, but like, oh, dude, and everybody, including me, everybody, and it's like freaking obvious, like Vertigo. Hitchcock is the greatest one of the greatest filmmakers. Vertigo is considered the greatest. Now it knocked off Citizen Kane for like the greatest AFI film or whatever, And then someone asked him about Vertigo. He's like, no, I like Rear Window. I like Vertigo. I like Rear Window more, but Vertigo's not an influence on me at all. And you're like, yeah, whatever. Like,
the Return. Really? I mean, how many images from The Return are inspired from Vertigo? Whether they want to believe it or not.
I listened to an interview that he gave. I forgot where he was, but I think he gave a talk somewhere. He had an art opening. And the lady was asking him about films. He's like, I don't know too much about films. I'm not a film buff.
Mm-hmm. Even his first wife.
I was like,
his first wife says that
he doesn't watch TV. Movies. He doesn't watch movies. It just seems peculiar.
I heard he watches a lot of true crime TV. That's what I heard.
Yeah, and I've been looking up the Lost Highway stuff too, which makes sense. It's so weird because it's like staring me in the face. Like, I pretty much, it took me several watches or whatever, but like I pretty much kind of like worked out Lost Highway in my mind anyway, as to like what it quote unquote means to me. And it's kind of cool that now, like, 20 years later, you can find interviews where him and Barry Gifford will kind of be like, yeah, it's like kind of like, where does the mind go? I was thinking a lot about O.J. Simpson and stuff. And like, so I kind of had it all worked out, but the O.J. Simpson connection was like staring at me in the face because that was like such a huge thing in like early 90s. And it's literally the same circumstances. Not exactly, but it's like, I don't know. I just thought it was cool that he was just like, and somebody wrote a great piece in, might be Vulture or something I found, but maybe 2015. No, it's like 2008, 2010 was like, Lost Highway is O.J. Simpson by way of Vertigo, and he breaks down the whole movie and the real life influences of it and Lynch's obvious obsession with Vertigo, which if you find other interviews, it's not an influence on him at all. So I don't know how I'm going to write a video or do a chat or whatever and talk about Lynch's influences where I can't find a goddamn concrete sentence anywhere where he acknowledges these films that are obviously influences on him are not influences on him.
So I've read that he, I don't know about anymore, but back in the day when he was making Eraserhead, he was championing his two biggest filmmakers he championed were John Waters and Werner Herzog. I read something a long time ago where he said that. I don't know if, I think I don't think their films inspired him. More of, I think their kind of independent spirit of get out there and do it. But what's funny is that Barry Gifford has said about Lost Highway that there are whole scenes they shot that basically tell you everything that's happening in the film, and that those were the scenes that Lynch took out. So, but I mean, I think Lost Highway, I mean, yes, 30 years on, looking on back at it, it's pretty, like, I don't think that's one of his most I think you can pretty much understand Lost Highway. I mean, it's pretty simple story. It's two different stories linked together pretty much, that have some intertwining stuff. But I think Inland Empire is the one that I feel is almost impossible to
it's indecipherable. You've got a actress who's playing a part. It's actually kind of, I've been saying this now for the last couple of years, but like, I am ready to go through that, and I'm going to take it in pieces, just like The Return or The Secret History or some other, because it is so tedious. I mean, one sitting just about killed me, like literally about died watching it. But you know what? If I watched Inland Empire in, I don't know, 3 or 4, like 45-minute chunks.
10 minutes.
I think I could like absorb it a lot. But it's cool, like, because it's like, again, it's the Hollywood trilogy. So it's an actress, and they're making a movie, but this movie is a remake of a movie that was also a foreign film, and it's basically like it's a haunted movie kind of.
Right, but that's the first hour.
Well, yeah, and then of course it devolves into like just some scat. Oh, and basically it all devolves into what culminates into Lynch's brain, because you've got the rabbits and the girls from Mulholland Drive, and so like somewhere in this universe, everything meets up in Lynch's mind.
I would argue.
And it's great because it's very meta. Because Inland Empire is really about how David Lynch is mad at the studio for making Dune, and they told him what to do, and he didn't want to do it. So now he's got rabbits in the room with the girls from Inland Empire.
Oh my.
And I am working on a 10.5-hour video.
Oh dang! It's going to be called "What Inland Empire Really Means."
Right.
I would say after the first hour of Inland Empire, I could pretty much cut that movie into a million pieces, throw them up in the air, stitch them back together in whatever order, and it will make just as much sense as the movie. I don't think there's any rhyme or reason to the editing of Inland Empire. I really do. I think you could, like, usually Lynch, you can see the transition, you can see the movement, you can feel, Inland Empire is literally just, let's just throw in a Polish scene at this moment. Okay, it's just, and apparently the rough cut was 6 hours. And you know what? I've shown that movie to Lynch fans, and I remember one friend of mine, she said, yeah, camcorder's not really his best friend. And what she meant by that was, with film, you have to kind of pick and choose what you're going to shoot because it's expensive, right? But with video, you would think, oh, this is great. Lynch can be unrestrained and can do whatever he wants to do. But he didn't have Mary Sweeney helping him edit. He didn't have Dwayne Dunham helping him edit. And so it just is like the longest film of all time.
I've still only seen it once. I haven't gotten back to it.
Yeah, I've seen it twice, I think. And I
do you remember the IMDb boards when that movie came out? They were just like, I'm a Lynch fan. This movie sucks. and what's funny is that I will talk smack about it left, right, and center. But like I said, if Criterion released it tomorrow, I would pick it up because I admire everything about it except watching it.
Yeah.
I love the spirit of it. I love the fact that they put 3 years of their life into making this film. They travel all around little camcorders and made Laura Dern go out and in like freezing weather in a t-shirt. You know, I love that kind of can-do spirit, but it's like I can admire the way Andy Warhol made some of his movies. Doesn't mean I want to sit through 5 hours of the Chelsea Girls. You know?
Yeah. The one thing I can say about Inland Empire is the only thing I could say when it was done was, man, Laura Dern was great. I don't know what that movie was about. I don't know what the hell was going on. I don't know anything, but man, like she nailed it. Whatever she was doing, she was good. She was real good. So when he's like, yeah, she deserves the Oscar, I'm like, yeah, she sure does.
Sure. Yeah.
I don't know what that movie was about, but she was great. That actually like got me kind of like back into I don't think I'd seen anything with Laura Dern in a long time until Empire came out. And I was like, you know what? Yeah, she is awesome. Like, yeah, she's great.
That was during
her Heart and all that stuff.
Yeah, that was during her dry spell where she couldn't get a job. And so Lynch was just kind of taking her around. And then, you know, then all of a sudden.
Right. After that, then you've got the no,
because 2016, 17 is where the Laura Dern Renaissance started happening. So it was like a decade later.
Yeah. Because you had Star Wars and.
Well, she had Big Little Lies and.
Right. Yeah, she did a lot. Because I don't watch TV, my mind's just like, Joey, how you doing, man? We should let Joey talk a little bit.
I know. No, I'm learning a lot here.
No, it's just two jaded 40-year-olds talking about how much everything sucks.
What's the matter, guys? What's going on?
No. I'm joking.
No, because like
we're all friends here.
Did you watch War of the Worlds yet?
No.
Did you get War of the Worlds on Criterion?
I got it. I have not watched it yet.
I watched it.
Can you mail it to me and let me watch it if you're not going to watch it?
Sure.
The Joe Dante commentary is fantastic. And
you've seen it? You've watched it? Mm-hmm. How's it? Man, I haven't. I had a VHS tape copy that we copied off the video store from back in the day growing up. And then, of course, that disappeared or whatever. And then I would say 6-8 years ago, I found a torrent of it. And it's like the crappiest digital copy. So I do have it. I have watched it recently. And when they said that Criterion was doing it, it's funny. I ordered everything else. I bought everything else, but the one movie I want more than anything is that, and I haven't ordered it yet. But I am super excited. I bet the restoration just like amazing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And because black and white always looks good on Blu-ray, and of course they managed to put the Orson Welles radio show on there too.
Yeah.
Like that was. Yeah, no, it's amazing. Criterion always does a fantastic job, except for their Firewalk With Me disc, because it's like that. Pretty much is just a rebrand of what we got in the other set.
Yeah. I was gonna say when that came out, I was like, how can you top what's already in the Missing Pieces box set or whatever, the entire mystery?
And they did screw up Mulholland Drive, and I let them know about it, and they were like, I said, listen, you guys have taken back whole releases because you messed up one shot in a Bergman film. This is considered to be like the greatest film of the 21st century right now. Can you fix it? No, I don't think we're going to do that. So their mistake still stands, which really ticks me off.
Super interesting.
Because they pulled Eraserhead when they made a mistake and reissued it. You know, there was a version 2 of Eraserhead. So I figured, come on, can you do that for Mulholland Drive? No. Okay, fine. Sucks.
Wow.
Yeah, for the record, I'm obsessed with War of the Worlds. I've read the book. I have the Orson Welles audio play. I have crappy bootlegs of the shitty 80s TV show. That 50s one that just came out on Criterion is like one of my favorites growing up as a kid. I love it. somebody made it like a sequel, an animated sequel called War of the Worlds Goliath. It came out a few years back. That's actually pretty solid. It's like a kind of anime type. That's pretty solid. Actually, my least favorite installment of War of the Worlds is the Spielberg movie.
Well, yeah, because
everybody loves that movie, and I'm just it's all right.
They filmed that the town over. I remember when they filmed that.
But doesn't that movie plays like? I mean, I'm not the only one who says this, but it does play like they ran out of money. The movie just all of a sudden just stops. Like you're just like, what the hell's happening? And all of a sudden, like the family comes out on the porch and looks at Tom Cruise like he's late for dinner or something like that. Like, it's like, what's going on?
Like, where have you been? We've been waiting for you. The ham is cold already. Jeez, what happened?
Yeah. I don't know why. I don't know if it's a part of my life. I think I was kind of going through some stuff when that movie came out. But like I really wanted to like it. And
because after Minority Report, like you're thinking they're going to
Minority Report was great. That movie was great. I saw that. I mean, I haven't seen it recently, but I saw that in the theater and I rented it a couple times when it came out. And Max von Sydow and all that. Like, but Joey, that scene in the town, the opening scene is pretty rad. I think a War of the Worlds, like it's got that kind of. It's not the same, but I compare it to the Dawn of the Dead remake opening. It's just it's not as fast or as frenetic. It's just like I would call that a solid sci-fi opening. When you see those buildings and they're like twisting and breaking apart, and the pylons or the tripod creatures are coming out, like that's super awesome. I really like that. But yeah, I mean, about halfway through the movie, I'm like.
The second they get to the basement, that's kind of when I'm done. That's like I'm already like, all right, we almost done here. That basement scene kind of kills it.
The best alien film of the last 15 years is Signs. It's just that movie. I mean, whatever you think about the ending, that whole buildup is incredible.
I really hate to admit it, but you might be right. Signs is pretty awesome. The build-up. I still haven't seen The Arrival, which is funny because I'm a big Villeneuve fan.
No, but Signs is very much in the spirit of Night of the Living Dead, the kind of like isolated house, everything's right.
The best scene is when they see it on TV.
Yeah,
the jump scare on the TV.
The Bigfoot kind of
great scene. Yeah. What
is so scary about that is that's the way it would be. That's what we would see on CNN.
Joaquin Phoenix watches it in like the closet or whatever.
Oh, it's great. Yeah. But just kind of trying to bring it back a little bit. When you saw episode 8 of Twin Peaks with those little kids and the frog moth and stuff like that, that's definitely got a 50s monster alien invader vibe. I mean, so when Lynch talks about doesn't mention any movies, that those kind of movies when he was a kid put something in his head because you feel like you're watching one of those during that whole sequence.
Yeah, I love that. You're exactly right. That's how those 50s movies pan out, and everything from the pacing to finding the penny and I can't remember if they kiss or not, or it's the first kiss or not, or whatever. I don't know. Just that totally. Do
you remember at the time
body snatchers type stuff?
Yeah. Do you remember
and shit?
Do you remember at the time? I'm sure Joey does. We all said that night that that's Sarah Palmer, and everyone was like, "That's not Sarah Palmer. That girl's like Ecuadorian or something like that." And then Mark Frost's book comes out and says it's Sarah Palmer, but the show never says it's Sarah Palmer. So the question is, are we too? It is Sarah Palmer. Okay, I don't care what Lynch says or doesn't say, but the thing is, though, is that someone could make the argument that it's not Sarah Palmer, and if it's not Sarah Palmer, then what the hell are we watching? So, I mean, I'm assuming you take it as Sarah Palmer too, and not just some random girl out in the desert.
I'm going to defer to Joey on this one.
Oh well, yeah, I've been in that camp since the beginning. But again, it maybe makes too much sense, so maybe not. But I'd like to believe it's Sarah, and maybe a young Leland, maybe not. It doesn't. I don't think that connected timeline wise.
No, not with Leland, but to me, it's like, well, there's no purpose to this moment at all if it's not.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not connected.
It's like, I think that it's something. I've been listening to some podcasts and stuff, and John Thorne and Josh Mitten have a podcast now, and they brought up the idea that, like, how much of it, being a previous Twin Peaks fan coming into the return, like how much kind of like baggage are you bringing with you, like expectations, et cetera, et cetera. And they were talking about how does the return exist on its own, like as it's conceivably, could somebody watch the return and piece together what is going on without? And I would say no. And for 3 years, I've been saying no. And the more I think about it, like, I think that story can be viewed and absorbed on its own. And like, but anyway, my point is, it's like, exactly, like, what are we watching? Okay. Like, but my point is, because Cameron, you always talk about how, season 1 and season 2, like, I know that it's abstract. I know there's surreal elements. I know that, whatever. And like, the return is more frustrating because there's those different layers and there's the dreams. It's like, I get it that it's all subjective. I get it that it could all be a dream. I get it. However, there's real stuff happening that really happens. Now, to what degree you're taking it, that's kind of on you. But like, Dougie Jones is a guy that works at an insurance company, and he has a boss named what's his name? You know what I mean? Like, yeah. Tom Sizemore works there. Like, these aren't. Well, no, that's not. What's the guy's name's after Lynch's mentor? Bud.
Yeah, we had the same thing the other day.
Yeah, completely.
You know what I'm talking about? It's like look, like there is a woman named Bushnell Mullins, battling Bushnell. Yeah. So it's like, well, I don't believe that he's a real guy. I think Bushnell Mullins he's a tulpa too. Okay, well, then what are we watching? And it's the thing. It's like, if you don't think that that's Sarah Palmer, then that's literally in the next shot after they create Laura Palmer and send her to Earth. If that's not Sarah Palmer, then what's the point? Yeah, well, like, I don't know. It's just like, I think people take the abstraction of some of this stuff a little too far. It's like, like, well, I think the log lady is an alien. I think the log lady is an alien, and she's sent to Earth, and she is she's actually created by Aleister Crowley, and like, it's like okay, I get it. I mean, it's Twin Peaks. It's your interpretation. That's totally fine. I'm not telling you you're wrong. I'm just saying, like, why would you think that? How does that fit in the story? Like, I think she was a woman who's abducted maybe by aliens or something when she was young, but I don't get it. Sometimes the abstraction goes a little bit too far. And
I wouldn't even go that far. I would say it's a lady that dealt with some pretty intense stuff in her life, and maybe that's just the way she is now. I mean, I've met people in real life that
he's frozen.
Prophetic. I think I cut off there.
Yeah, you did.
She's not. Maybe they're not as prophetic, but like, I've met people like the log lady before in real life.
So they do exist.
It's totally believable.
They do exist. Well, it's like in season 3 when they send the little Laura orb, right, to the United States, and we see it going towards the United States, and it's going over, and you're thinking, okay, it's heading toward the Pacific Northwest, But as it's fading out, and the little thing is going, right as it's going over Odessa, Texas, it goes to black. And so it's like, oh, so did they send her to the Pacific Northwest, or is this when they send her to Odessa, Texas? Like, to me, I feel like there is no now happening. It's all happening now. So it's like Cooper might be walking with Laura in the woods, then she's gone. But as she's gone, that's when she flies out of the red room when he's in the red room with her. It's like there's all these things happening simultaneously, I think. And but then there's that theory going around where it's like, well, Cooper never got out of the lodge until episode 18. Okay, I can see how someone could make that point, but then I go, then why the hell did I sit through 17 hours of this? If this thing is just all a dream, why would we sit through all this Janie? Because like, if that was all a dream, then why did I have to sit through all the Janie Jones stuff and all? I mean, it's just, it's like, I feel like it's all of a waste if the whole previous 17 hours was nothing.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of like, well, yeah, exactly. So it's like, so if it's all a dream, then how did the doppelganger? Well, Cooper doesn't actually leave the lodge till he steps out of the lodge. Like, okay, but then but he can't leave till the doppelganger's dead. So how did the doppelganger get back in the lodge? If I don't know. I mean, I get that there is kind of a meta thing going on, or another layer. You could say that Dougie Jones, his good half, and Mr. C, his bad half, were out in the real world battling it out, and it might all be a mental projection. And when he was able to become a whole again in his mind is when he was allowed to leave the lodge, because that's kind of a spiritual thing. And I've been thinking about the same thing too, because I remember after it was over, because no one knew what the ending meant. You had a lot of people like, well, it's just a dream. I remember me and some friends of mine were like super pissed about that. Like, it's kind of like a cop out, right? If it's like, it's all a dream. But then I've been thinking too, like, that's kind of Lynch's style. Bob Engel says the same thing about Firewalk With Me. He's like, look, like it's all a dream. Like, it's all our perception. It's like Laura's dream or her memory, and then you've got Bowie. Is that a dream? Is that someone else's dream? Is he dreaming it? He's like, look, like, and then back to the Wizard of Oz. Like, the Wizard of Oz is all a dream too.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, but does it negate does that take anything away from, like, you enjoyed it, I enjoyed it, I love the characters. With the characters, if it was all a dream, then all those people are part of Dorothy, which she says so at the end, like, oh, you were there and you were there and you were there, and like, she learns something about herself. She battles some sort of inner demon or doubt or whatever. You're satisfied, I'm satisfied, she's satisfied. It's entertaining, it's exciting. So the fact that the Wizard of Oz is all a dream doesn't mean it sucks. you know.
But I can make the argument that the Wizard of Oz is a fantastical land. It's not the bankruptcy of Las Vegas, and he owes a bunch of money to the Mitchums. You know.
Yeah. No, totally. I don't think that's all a dream either. But if you wanted to take, let's say, Twin Peaks as a whole,
can I pull this comment up?
I mean, if you're watching forensic files all the time, the Mitchum brothers might be a dream that you have.
Maybe.
I mean, that's badass.
Yeah, it's funny. No, I mean, like, I if someone says to me, I think it's all a dream, these are my reasons for why I back it up. Cool. I'm just saying, for me, myself, I don't want to feel like I wasted all my time just because.
Well, why is it a waste?
Because there's too many subplots happening for it to just be one person's dream inside the Black Lodge. There's just way too much happening.
Well, I think the dream thing is abstract in itself. Like, it's a dream kind of thing.
When they say who is the dreamer, my feeling is it's us, it's we collectively, and everybody in the show in season 3 is collectively having this dream. Everybody's in some sort of dream state in season 3. The whole thing feels like a dream state. But that doesn't mean that it's a dream. I mean, Wild at Heart feels like a dream state all the way through, but it's not a dream. I mean, Lynch has always mixed realism and surrealism, but now he's getting into this whole, ever since Lost,
Firewalk With Me.
Firewalk With Me, but Firewalk With Me is still like 2 concrete stories that are merged that are, there's a prologue and then there's the Laura story. Lost Highway is when he started like blending the 2 stories together.
Right. Well, that's the thing. Since Lost Highway, if you want to take out Firewalk With Me, I mean, since Lost Highway, that's where you've got literally a dream, literally a story, and somebody's dream or mental projection or alternate reality or whatever you want to call it has manifested and is crossing over. And that's Mulholland Drive is the same.
Inland Empire.
And Inland Empire is the same. So people that see that the best piece I ever read on The Return, I don't even agree with it, but it's this Tim Kreider guy wrote this thing about how basically, that the if The Return is viewed as the through line, the Lynch through line, if The Return is like his last 3 movies, the Hollywood trilogy, then it stands to reason that that basically that's what's going on. You've got this guy who is probably done something horrible in his life. Is that Cooper or Richard or whatever? And he is projecting all that stuff, and it's his good half and his bad half out in the world duking it out. And he's like, I don't know. It's like, but then like even at the end of the piece, he's like, I don't know how that fits at the end when they go to the Palmer house and all that crap. Like, I don't get it. But like, because then it's kind of like after he becomes whole again and resolves whatever's going on, then you're instantly in this other Odessa, Texas world, and whatever that means is a whole other thing. But like, it's
like when he tells Laura, we're gonna go home. I remember even that night thinking, okay, that's really stupid because Leland's just gonna kill her the next day. Like, what is your deal? But when he's leading through the woods, you see a shot of like where they found Nido. And so I was thinking, well, maybe he's taking her home. Maybe he's taking her to the giant.
No, that's what I think. That's what that was the plan.
But then why did he take her to the Palmer house? That's what I'm saying. Why didn't he just take her to the woods then if he's going to take her home?
He tried. Part 17, when he takes her hand, he says, we're going home. Right. And I think at that moment, Cooper is telling Laura Palmer, I'm taking you to the giant. And they start walking that way, and then she gets sucked away.
Right. But then 18 begins, and it's my impression, having now watched it a couple times, that 18 insinuates that this is the second try. Because it's different footage.
I agree. And you know what? You're the only other person that brings that shit up, and I agree 100%. There are no, other than the episode 1 or 2, part 1 or 2, when the arm says, do you remember your doppelganger? And they show that 5-second flash of Bob and Cooper's doppelganger from the original story. Other than the opening where Laura says, I'll see you again in 25 years, and the girl screaming at the school, and do you remember your doppelganger? Other than those 3 cuts to the original show, there are no flashbacks. There are no, not exactly true. There's when Cooper comes out in the glass box, you see Tracy and Homeboy again.
But that's just to show you that it's like to show you the opposite side of the time we were it's just putting you in a place.
No, I get that, but it's still repeated footage is my point. Okay. So it's still something repeated. However, other than that, there are no real like flashbacks. And that scene always made me feel weird. The beginning of part 18, because you got the burning doppelganger, and I instantly, even before I knew what was going to happen with the Palmer house and all of that, that was my first reaction. I was like, he has done this more than once. And then when he goes back into the thing and he says time and time again, or is it future, is it past? And I still, if I'm talking to somebody, if someone asks me like what I think happens at the end of the return, I usually leave this out because it's not like crucial, but like you and I have talked before, it's this constant struggle. If this is all a battle of like good and evil, or Judy versus the giant, or whatever it is, or finding the balance of light and dark, or saving Laura's soul, or whatever it is, it's a continual struggle. And it's kind of like the Matrix. We've destroyed Zion like 10 times, and it keeps coming. Like it's a cyclical thing. So my instant reaction before I even knew what the hell was happening, when they show that cut in part 18 of Cooper in the woods again.
But it's different footage. It's different footage.
Yeah, it's different footage. I went, this has happened. This could very easily be like, hey, remember what just happened in that last episode 10 minutes ago?
That's stupid.
Why would they do that? No, of course not. This is something that has been tried and tried and tried. Like, this is the Infinity Loop, the Philip Jeffries Infinity Loop. Like,
and this is
a Mobius strip. This is a continual struggle between good and evil. Cooper has probably brought Carrie Page to the
Laura Palmer,
to the house.
Oh, to the house
before. Maybe not. Maybe every time. Maybe he goes to Judy's and can't find her. Maybe. I mean, who knows? But like, I think that this happens over and over again. And
but they don't make it very clear that that's what's happening. And so, and it has to mean that. Otherwise, they would have stuck episodes 17 and 18 together like episodes 1 and 2. They would have made it.
But they did kind of.
They didn't. They played them back to back, but they didn't.
That's what I mean. Right. They played them back to back, but there's not a version you can watch where it's one movie, like 1 and 2, or 3 and 4. You can watch them together too.
Right, but he didn't.
Which I think it's funny. Sorry to interrupt. I think this is funny, but if you were to take the return and lay out the original Twin Peaks, kind of like chronologically, you got Firewalk With Me, a prequel movie, and then you've got the pilot, another full-length movie. So you've got like 2 2-hour movies, and then this TV show where the 2-part finale was aired together. And the return, you've got part 1 and 2 that was aired as a 2-hour movie, part 3 and 4 that's a 2-hour movie, and you've got the whole TV show, and then you've got a 2-part finale that was aired on the same night. Just throwing that out there.
But the second season finale was edited into one movie when it aired. Those final 2 episodes.
Oh, it was cut together?
The only difference was that they added a directed by David Lynch credit over Lucy and Andy. But other than that, it was continuous.
Oh, yeah. They just didn't show the credits until the end. Okay.
But it was a full 2-hour thing.
Yeah. I just always thought that was cool that 17 and 18 were aired on the same night. And it was kind of like a 2-part finale. But it's not, they didn't stitch it together like the episodes at the beginning.
Do you think that was smart, or do you think it would have been better to leave us hanging for a week going, he got Laura, but she's gone. Where is she? Like, that would have been a great week-long discussion.
Oh, man, that's hard to say. I remember I was pretty much crushed with that ending, to be honest. I had some, I didn't do this the whole time, but like by the time it was almost over, I had some friends that were watching it, and for the first time in my life, I decided to have a Twin Peaks not a party, but like had some people over and we did coffee and cherry pie, and like it's like, okay, cool, like we're gonna watch the 2-hour finale and this will be great. We'll get some closure. This will be all wrapped up, and this will be fun. We'll have coffee and cherry pie, and I've never done this before. I've been a Twin Peaks fan for 25 years, and this will be fun. And yeah, that was awful. that ending was like awful. I mean, we're just like, you don't know what to think. You don't know how to feel. I was just like, part of me is glad that they did it just to get it over with. Cause I think like I would have like destroyed my TV if I'd have waited a week. And then now I think part 18 is amazing and I love it. But like, man, it's just a half hour of driving in a car. Like, dude, it's brutal. What are you doing? Like,
but at least they stopped
watching. I'm like, he is literally wadding up everything we just watched, and this is completely devolved into a Mulholland Drive, Lost Highway. Like, this is just, there's no music. There's no, like, this is the coldest, darkest, weirdest shit I've ever seen in my life. And I can't believe that all of Twin Peaks, everything is building up to a long, boring ass, dark drive down a highway. Like,
but they stop at a convenience store.
They do stop at a gas station. But like, I don't know. To be honest, I'm still kind of on the fence on what I actually like feel about the return. The problem is that I am it's just it's interesting and fascinating, and I'm kind of all over the place with it. Like, I still don't know if I'm satisfied or happy with it. I don't even know what that means anymore with TV. You know what I mean? But I just,
well, it's like, even if you didn't like it, the fact that you can, still draw conversations about it, I always said, if everything David Lynch makes is a masterpiece, there's no conversation, like, I mean, part of the things that I love about David Lynch's world is something I like or don't like, maybe something you like or don't like. And that's where the discussion is. I'll have a pushback with you on 18. I like 18. However, I also don't like 18 because I feel like when I sit down to watch Twin Peaks, I want to see Twin Peaks. I don't want to see Lost Highway, and maybe if that had been interweaved through the whole season, I could get on board with it. But because it was dropped on us in the last hour, it literally feels like Lynch's, pardon the meta phrase, channel surfing. Like, I'm bored with this. Let me do this instead. And I'm like, I don't know. If you're going to do that, maybe do it maybe after episode 8 or something. Like, have an actual break and then come back into it, you know what I mean? And kind of blend it more together. But it literally feels like we're watching it. He rescues Laura, and now we're driving down a road, and now him and Diane are having sex. And I'm sorry, like, if you look at that original script of Firewalk With Me, and how it wasn't Annie in the bed, but it was Cooper in the bed, and Laura and him have sex in the bed. To me, that's where the series is heading. I think, forget about this whole Jack Parsons sex magic stuff. Like, why don't we have Cooper and Laura doing that? I mean, imagine if he took Laura by the hand and took her to like a motel and they had sex. My mouth would have been dropped the entire time. I think that would have been more powerful than him and Diane, really. But I know Lynch wants to do his Blue Velvet recreation with Kyle and Laura Dern. So, we can do that. And I think that the show Twin Peaks, really, if we're going to head that way, we're heading towards Cooper and Laura having sex. That's where the whole thing is heading.
But, oh God, how freaking weird would that be?
But it would have been
after part eight, how many other times do we see a convenience store or a gas station?
When they go to that Dutchman place, right? Don't they?
Yeah. I mean, there's the whole Mr. C going to see Philip Jeffries, and then Cooper does too. I mean, that you could argue that's all in the So, like, again, this is what's messed up. Like, really, there is no convenience store. There is that old gas station convenience store, and everything that is above the convenience store, above the convenience. So all the stuff in Firewalk With Me that even I to this day call the convenience store, technically it's not. Technically it's the Dutchman's, which is this portal floating above an invisible gas station or whatever. But yeah.
But that's the only time. And then the next time we see a gas station is in part 18, and a gas station is just a gas station.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's, I mean, that was part 18 to me. That was, there's no magic here. Everything's is exactly what you think it is. This is maybe, this isn't the dream. This is a real world. This is what, you want. You like real, you like gritty, you like the heart, reality. This is what you're going to get. And, nothing is going to be, Cooper's not going to be fantastical. He's not going to be the magician here. And Laura's not going to be this mystical figure. She's just going to be somebody that dealt with a lot of shit. And I don't know.
Yeah,
because they never cross back over. Him and Diane cross over, and then he never crosses over with Carrie.
Yeah. Well, do you think that's how they beat Judy? It's just like we go to this world where no magic exists or nothing. No,
I don't know. The Double R Diner doesn't do pies to go anymore. So it's like, is it future? Did they go to the past? Who knows? So Thomas thinks that. Season 3 was Lynch's swan song, which I gotta tell you, sometimes I watch season 3 and I go, it does feel like a culmination film. It absolutely does. I mean, if you make something else, great, but it does feel like, I mean, he even has the ocean from Dune in it, for God's sakes. Come on.
Yeah, I mean, the White Lodge or the Giant's Castle or whatever, that's if you look at some of those early Giger Dune sketches and concept art, I mean, I'm not saying that it is Dune, but man, like you said, the ocean's in there, the Mr. C and the kind of like in the Lost Highway jail, you've got the headlights driving down the street. So like the Lost Highway stuff is like, even the Richard Horn getting zapped on the rock, like there's Lost Highway stuff in there. You've obviously got Mulholland Drive stuff. The
kids finding the waitress beaten up is definitely Lynch's autobiographical story that he not only talks about but also drew from for the scene in Blue Velvet with Isabella Rossellini.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just all there.
And that's another reason to just. It's weird. Like even people are disappointed at what it did to Twin Peaks. Like, okay, fair enough, but this is a dude that came out of retirement. Like he hadn't made a film in like 10 years, but he came out of retirement to team up with Mark Frost to do this thing. And it's every element. It's got Eraserhead and The Grandmother and all the experimental crap in there. It's got all the original Twin Peaks and it's all remixed and Lost Highway. It's like, it's everything he's ever done, including freaking whatever Hotel Room and Ronnie Rocket. And you know what I mean? Like it's literally everything that both of those guys ever wanted to do and referencing their old work. And I mean, it's kind of overwhelming, really. I mean,
well, that's my issue is like when someone asks me about Firewalk With Me and I say, I don't really have a problem with too much that's in Firewalk With Me. I have more of a problem of what's left out of Firewalk With Me than anything else. And I feel that way about season 3. Like there's not too much there's some things I don't like, but it's not so much what's in season 3 that pesters me. It's what's not in season 3 that pesters me. Like the show is so big, so vast that they couldn't drop Wyndham Earle's name once. You know what I mean? Like, right. I mean, they drop Chet Desmond's name, they drop Annie Blackburn's name, but we can't throw out Wyndham Earle once. I mean, they implicate Wyndham Earle several times in the show, but they don't name him. Little things like that, just that kind of bug me. It's like, like there's just, and this, and also the need to make every single thing open to interpretation. I really have a problem with that. It's like, you can have, I mean, you could tell us so many things. I mean, they do, but I mean, like, does Red's background need to be that much of a mystery? Come on, can't you just tell us that it's whoever it is it the grandson? Is it not? Is Richard Horn just on drugs and he sees the coin flipping around? Like, I don't know, but just could you tell us some things like that? like I remember having remember we had Deputy Chad on here, and we were talking about what a scumbag Deputy Chad is, and he was like saying, "What are you talking about? Deputy Chad's not a bad guy." I said, "What? No, because X, Y, and Z." He goes, "Did you ever see him do X, Y, and Z? You're assuming that he did X, Y, and Z." See, I have a problem with that. That every single thing's open to interpretation. That I can't say this character is a devious character. He got arrested, for God's sakes, in this show. You know.
Right.
But,
yeah. I mean, like I said, I take issue with. I have lines that are drawn in my mind, like, "Hey, look, sorry." Like, I mean, I respect the guy's opinion. He played the guy, obviously. Like, whatever. I have nothing against him, but that's my point. It's like, "Hey, look, man. Like, he's giving or taking money from a guy who says he's buying and selling drugs." Like, okay, yeah, you don't see him handle drugs, but like he's giving money to the criminal, like the villain of the show, and he's stealing mail from the police station, and the cops, who are all the good guys who we all know and love, arrest him because he's a bad guy doing bad stuff. Like,
he makes fun of the sheriff's wife or kid.
Yeah, exactly. He makes fun of the kid that committed suicide. Like, in my book, if anybody asks Jeremiah from Take the Ring if Chad is a bad guy, yeah, he's a bad guy. He's not the good guy. He's not someone I like. He's not someone I root for. He's not someone I support. When he makes fun of the soldier kid that killed himself, that makes me mad. I don't like that. That means he's a bad guy. When he takes money from the guy that runs over a little kid to sell drugs, when he, you know what I mean? It's just like, oh, I know that you have the same thing about Ed and Norma, because he closes his eyes and he meditates. Like, did they actually get back together or not? Like, if you ask me, yeah, they did. If you ask me, then like, that's why we watch another 5 minutes of the Otis Redding song talking about love and how wonderful life is. It's because, to me, that's a genuine moment. But that's, again, it's you know, I meet people, I wouldn't say all the time.
But after Peggy died, though, Lynch did come out and said that they were together.
Did he? So, that's good.
So, but it's like this whole thing, though. You can't introduce this concept of we're the dreamer who lives inside a dream, and then show me Ed meditate after seemingly getting blown off by Norma, and then all of a sudden she comes up behind him. It's like, really, are we really going to do this? Can't you just deliberately give us something? And it's funny that you mentioned the car ride. That car ride is the equivalent of that old man walking across the bank when Audrey is tied up to the snow. Let's just take, same thing with with Maddie being killed and all that. It's like, let's take let's just slow down time. Because if you look at that episode 14 where they come in and arrest Ben Horn all the way until Cooper's face there dissolves into the red curtains, it's 20 minutes. That was the longest 20 minutes of my life back in 1990. You remember that? Do you remember watching? It was literally like, they told us they're going to wrap this up, or at least solve this mystery tonight. I'm looking at the clock going 20 minutes. Man, I don't know what Lynch did. He literally like stopped time, because that was the longest 20 minutes of television I've ever seen.
Yeah.
So that car ride, I was like, I get it. Let's just have quiet and have tension there. I get it. But we could have still done all that and had a few words said. A few words. You know what I mean? I would have loved to have just had them have a small conversation about something and then go to silence. Maybe they brought up a truth they didn't want to talk about, and that led to the silence or something like that. And then we sit through 10 minutes of silence or whatever. But sometimes I feel like Lynch doesn't want to go there, when I feel like he should kind of make that jump. You know what I mean? Like you can do both. You don't have to pick the you don't have to be David Mamet or Complete Quiet.
Right.
You can have that. I was thinking, like that scene in Ghostbusters that I love. So, is when Ray and Winston are crossing the bridge in the car and they're talking about like, maybe the dead is rising, right? Okay, it's about 2 minutes long. There's a few words being said, but it leaves you with genuine chills. They could have had just a moment of like 3 or 4 back and forth exchanges and then nothing, and we would have been petrified.
Yeah. That is one of the great scenes in Ghostbusters for sure. I love that scene. It feels like you're right. It's only like a minute and a half, and it feels like it's long. You totally get sucked in. It humanizes the situation, even though they're talking about supernatural stuff. I mean, it's Winston talking about like, hey man, like I believe in the Bible, and like I'm kind of scared is kind of what he's saying, right? Like,
right.
Hey man, like and Ray is like, Ray basically is like, I don't believe in that stuff. And then Winston's like, yeah, well, check this out. And then the end of the scene is Ray going, he's scared then. And he's like, oh, let's listen to some music, right? And then it's great shot of them rolling into New York or crossing the bridge as the sun's coming up, because it's like 5 a.m. or whatever, because they've been up all night busting ghosts and stuff. Man, you remember when movies were good?
But you remember when movies could, in one scene, like that one scene, all of a sudden makes Ghostbusters into almost like an epic of supernatural.
Yeah. That's what I mean. It humanized it, like it regrounds, because then that's the right before the bottom of the second act, because the next scene the EPA shows up, right, and then it's just like, and then it's just a ramp up right to the end, right? So like that's the like calm before the storm. Characters are reminding themselves and the audience that like, hey, this stuff's for real, and it's actually kind of scary, and we don't know what's going to happen. So here we go. It's a great scene.
You know that theory that Ghostbusters is routinely called the greatest Republican movie of all time?
Oh, because of the EPA stuff?
Well, no, it's about people who get out of the private sector, go into business for themselves, become so successful they hire minorities, and then who tries to shut them down? The EPA.
Never heard that one before.
Yeah, it's the I definitely know the entrepreneurial spirit. That's what, actually, to be honest, it's my one little. It's not even my problem. It's like my favorite movie ever, so I don't really care that much. No, painting the EPA is like a bad thing. It's like, hey, yeah, we created a government agency that's trying to like cut back on like smog and shit. Like we're trying to oversee some companies that are dumping like poison sludge in the water. I personally think that's like kind of a good thing or whatever. But yeah, no, I get it. It's like, well, we gotta have some sort of villain that comes in like oversight that doesn't kind of out of their element and wants to shut us down, and
it's real world. It's no longer Dean Yeager kicking them out of their office. It's like someone's going to shut down their whole business.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. And it's a perfect. You're right. It's a perfect kind of mirror for the university thing. You're right. Like the dean shutting them down. Now they got the government saying, "Hey, you can't do this." Like,
I am psyched. I'm psyched for the new one. I cannot wait for Ghostbusters Afterlife. It looks
really.
Don't you think it looks good?
I haven't, to be honest. I saw the teaser with the truck in the barn last year or whatever. That's all.
You didn't see it where it's driving around, like.
No, I haven't seen it. I saw that first teaser.
Check it out. It's good. It doesn't give anything away, but it's cool. To have Jason Reitman direct it, smart move. I mean,
yeah.
Thank You for Smoking, Juno.
Yeah.
You get that guy to direct, which is essentially he's the son. He's in Ghostbusters too. He's the one that tells them that they should have gotten He-Man at the birthday party.
Yeah.
You know, so
I think it's like anything else. Like Ghostbusters is again. I don't know if this is like you like Ghostbusters, Joey?
Yeah, of course.
When did you watch it first? Were you real young?
Probably. I mean, yeah, I can't even remember. I was pretty young. I was probably like maybe 4 or something the first time I watched it.
Did you see it before the cartoon?
Or when did the cartoon come out?
Okay, so
Joey wasn't born until 1990. The cartoon was on in '86, man.
Okay.
Yeah, I saw the movie first. I didn't see the cartoon until I was actually a little bit older.
Okay.
Probably knew what was
that
going
shit
on.
didn't even hit Netflix. You couldn't even find the cartoon after it went off air for years.
No, I had to order it through Hallmark, I think.
I would have sworn they used to play it on like Fox Kids over here or something like that.
Yeah. They might have. So I'm trying to figure out, like, is Ghostbusters the greatest movie, one of the greatest movies ever made, because we all saw it. Most people see it when they're young, and it's got all the, it's part action, it's part comedy, it's part scary, it's part this, it's part that, and it's funny, and it's it's all of that stuff. And everybody sees it when they're young, and it's becomes formative.
Mm-hmm.
Do I think it's the greatest movie ever made because I was 5, 6, 7 years old when I first saw it, and to me that's a standard bearer, kind of like Jaws. And it's one of those things like Jaws, Ghostbusters, Raiders of the Lost Ark. There's a bunch of Back
to the Future's mine.
I would even say maybe not so much for me, but yeah, there's movies that I'm like, this is the standard bearer for that. But I can still watch. The jokes in Ghostbusters are still hilarious
because they're character driven. They're not topical of the day.
Exactly. They're not references to other movies that no one's ever seen before. Like the lady Ghostbusters, and a lot of those jokes, like lots of those jokes are just, they're pop culture references. It's like, if you don't know who Oprah Winfrey is and you get a car, you get a car. If you don't know what that is, that scene makes no sense. It's not funny. You're like, okay, But when the paddy wagon shows up at Ghostbusters headquarters and Janine opens the door and says dropping off or picking up, that's funny. You know what I mean? Like, that's hilarious because that was true 100 years ago and it's still true today. If the cops show up to your house and you're like, oh, are you picking somebody up or are you dropping somebody off? Like,
just remember, in 1984, in 1 week, Ghostbusters, Temple of Doom, and Gremlins opened back to back to back.
Man, dude,
solid week.
Oh, man, all those movies are great.
84, and then and the biggest movie of that year was still Beverly Hills Cop.
Yeah,
I think it's Beverly Hills Cop or Ghostbusters, one of those two. But like, 84 was a hell of a year. I think was a hell of a year.
Yeah, I think Ghostbusters, if I remember correctly, I think it did well, but it wasn't the box office shattering. Like, it was successful, but that's another one of those like
HBO movies.
Right. HBO and home video movies, like within 5 years, everyone, like, a lot of people saw it, a lot of people liked it, but within 5 years, like, everyone in the world saw it and everyone loved it, and it's like classic forever,
And then when they introduced the cartoon and that became a big hit, well, then Ghostbusters 2 really had expectations because it was coming off the movie and the cartoon, and the cartoon was very heavily liked.
Yeah, the cartoon still is good. The cartoon is still scary too
I remember
all those 80s cartoons are I still like them because I watched them when I was a kid, but they're not good. Some of them are just like really, really bad. But I would say Transformers, Ghostbusters, some of that stuff holds up pretty well.
So I'll tell you a little joke, or it's not really a joke, but it's kind of an amusing anecdote. The guy who did the voice for Venkman, the real Ghostbusters.
Yeah,
also did the Garfield voice.
Garfield, yeah.
So when he passed away, that's why Bill Murray did the Garfield voice for the movie Garfield.
Interesting.
And so that really upset me in Zombieland when he said that Garfield was the biggest mistake of his career. Because I can name a few other movies he's made that are worse mistakes than Garfield. Because Garfield, maybe CGI cat, it's not a bad movie. It's not. It is. It's Garfield, for God's sakes. Come on.
I don't know if I actually ever watched that movie.
Or Garfield 2, A Tale of Two Kitties.
Yeah. So speaking of cats,
I know you have to go. But Joey, stay on, because he's taking off. Yeah. All right, Joe. Great to see you. Great to see you. Let me pimp out your channel one more time. So awesome. Make sure to go to Take the Ring, and follow him on Twitter. So
appreciate it. Yeah, Joey, we'll let you talk now that I'm leaving.
No, it's all good. It's all good.
I'm hopefully going to do the StreamYard thing or get set up. Maybe I'll start doing some chats and have you over.
Yeah, I think this is the first time we ever actually did a thing with all of us. So
I think you're right. That's cool.
This reminds me back to the glory days of 2017 when we would have like 8 or 9 people on here. Those were the good times.
The glory days.
It was the glory days when like people actually didn't think I was nuts for making Twin Peaks videos. Yeah. Like before season 3, people were like, "Why are you talking about that show? No one cares." Then during season 3, it was just like, "Oh my God, let's talk about Twin Peaks."
And it's kind of cool that Lorne and Region Free, and so I'll watch some of those, and there'll be 6-8 people in there too. That's kind of cool when he's got a big live chat going on.
Oh, absolutely.
Because that's the other thing I wanted, because you sent me what started this all was you sent me a message about the Friday the 13th box set.
Yes.
So I was actually hoping we'd talk about that instead.
Do you have a second? Let's just throw it out there real quick.
Oh, just I ordered the Friday the 13th box set, and I know where you and Lauren and all his buddies, I know where everybody stands on it. But I told Cameron that I am apparently one of the few that like I watched all those movies growing up and even into my 20s, and I like them, and I like the lore and the longevity of the whole thing. I never saw the 2009 remake, which I heard was actually pretty good. So the Scream Factory box, because they're all on Blu-ray and they're all remastered and they're all in one spot, and I don't have to dig around in 30 different streaming services or buy old. I know I could find the DVDs or whatever cheaper. I know there's Blu-rays that are out there, but I was just like, cool, all the Jason movies, every single one of them, and a lot of remasters and a lot of extra stuff and commentaries and like the whole shebang. And I'm going to do this because some of these I haven't seen since high school. Some of these I've seen recently, but I want to see a good transfer, So I am, and it comes out around my birthday. So by the time
then they dropped the new extras today.
Right. So you're going to get a part 2 extended NC-17 gore cut.
No, they didn't. No, they just found the footage. They didn't stick it back in.
Oh, they didn't stick it back in, but that's extra features. They found this stuff that they cut from part 2 that no one's ever seen. Right.
Yeah. Apparently the guy had the footage for 40 years and never gave it up. But then I guess the people at Scream Factory asked very nicely, and he did. So that's why it's never been released. But I mean, just the amount of extras on there, 4 commentaries almost per movie.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's gonna be the release of the year until Scream Factory decides to do a Nightmare on Elm Street box set. Then that will be the release.
So what's cool is I got so excited that they were doing this that I went out and got a double disc. The documentaries, Never Sleep Again and Crystal Lake Memories. So I've never seen Crystal Lake Memories. I saw Never Sleep Again back when it came out, whatever, 2010. I'm stoked about Crystal Lake Memories, and my friend just, I don't know if you can see it, but anyway, you can't see it. But my friend, she had the book.
Right.
So there's a companion Crystal Lake Memories book. So I happened to be at her house, and she's like, "Hey, you can borrow this." I'm like, "Oh, cool." So I got the book. I got Crystal Lake Memories Blu-ray and Never Sleep Again. I just watched Never Sleep Again, and I got the box set coming, and I'm just really excited to kind of revisit this.
Can Take the Ring YouTube go into other things besides Twin Peaks? Like if you wanted to do a Friday the 13th breakdown, if you decide to do it, would you start up another YouTube channel, or would you just put it on Take the Ring?
It's a good question. I don't know. I think about that a lot. I think that a lot of my followers follow me for my Twin Peaks content. Like I'll put up like a live chat or something that's like, "Hey, this is me and Cameron talking for an hour, like about hardcore Twin Peaks ins and outs," and it's like I'll get like a few hundred views or whatever, or like I don't know. It just seems like when I throw extra stuff out there, it doesn't get hardly any traction. But when I do like a new episode or like the 3 days in Twin Peaks or like something like heavy, like that YouTube chat I just did, I did a live chat of myself just doing like updates like, "Hey, order the new Laura's Ghost book, and I worked with this artist, and check out this, and there's this film conference." It's like, here's a half hour Twin Peaks news and a half hour of me answering people's questions about Twin Peaks. And like, I think it's great, but like I lost subscribers when I put that up. So what's going to happen if I do a deep dive on Friday the 13th box set? Am I going to lose 500 subscribers because I didn't subscribe to this channel for Friday the 13th? It's horse shit. It's bullshit.
Well, they don't have to watch the video,
No, I know. I know. I don't know. I don't know, man. A part of me thinks that I'll never, I don't think I've got the energy or the fortitude to start a new channel. I don't think I could do it. Start everything from scratch.
Well,
I might just do like a one-off thing. I was in my live chat. I think I cut this out of the edited one, but like, I want to finish up I only have so much to say about Twin Peaks. I have about 15 more episodes that I want to do that gets all the stuff out. And then I want to do 50 sci-fi. I want to talk about Harryhausen movies and Twilight Zone episodes and Outer Limits and Day of the Triffids and War of the Worlds and shit like that. So if I ever get done with Twin Peaks, I'm definitely doing that. I'm definitely doing Harryhausen stuff and Body Snatchers and like that's what I want to do. We'll see though. Like I said, I got a new microphone. I'm getting some more stuff for my studio. I'm going to try to upgrade, do the whatever this streaming thing is where you can invite people in and do more interactive stuff. So we'll see how it goes. But I'm also in the middle of my next Twin Peaks video, and I've got 2 or 3 more written, and I'm really hoping to do like, I wouldn't say full on episodes, but I've got 3 or 4 more Twin Peaks videos that should be pretty awesome. That's the plan within the next, I don't know, 6 months or something.
Are you going to do a review of my film when it comes out?
Oh yeah. We talked about that.
You don't have to do like a full on like Take the Ring type of video for it, but I mean, just come on the camera and be like, it sucked or something. I liked it. I don't know, whatever,
Well, it kind of depends because I like to do. I'm planning on doing it. I just don't know. Like, are you going to give me a screener or a ton of like screen captures that I could like throw some images on there?
Whatever you wanted to do, I'll give you.
Yeah, we can do. I'll do something. I'll either like type it up and record it and do that, or just do like a live, like instant reaction type thing or something like that.
Cool. Yeah, or come on for the watch-alongs.
I'm definitely going to do that.
How the hell did you do that? Well, yes.
Yeah.
There's gonna
Why
be.
Did you do that?
Why did you do that? And are you out of your mind?
How dare you?
How dare you?
Do you think you're David Lynch? What are you doing?
Right.
This is crazy.
I mean,
wait a minute. I thought the log lady was an alien.
Exactly. Well, when it gets into the whole Annie owning One-Eye Jacks, we can discuss all that. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a joke. It's a joke.
Yeah. I was like, wait,
Heard
does
that,
that happen?
people?
Yeah. All right. No, I gotta get going. I gotta give
right.
a shot to my cat.
So, all right, take it easy. Have a great night.
See you guys. We'll talk soon.
All right.
Yeah. Talk to you later.
All right. Eject out. Get it. I'm gonna take his banner off the screen here.
Goodbye.
We don't need his banner anymore. Yesterday we did a video, and I said, "Why am I telling people to just subscribe to your channel? Anyone who subscribed to me is subscribed to you." So, and you have 10,000 subs. You need to give me some of yours.
Oh, did he get to 10,000? I didn't see. Oh,
He's
wow.
cool.
Congrats.
Yeah.
Jeez.
I'm trying to figure out why we're stuck at our numbers, and he's at 10,000.
I mean, I know why. His videos are fantastic. There's so much production value.
Oh, yeah, they're great. They're great. My issue is if I put production value like that into my Twin Peaks videos, YouTube would be pulling them off my channel. Because that used to be what happened to me. I would put up something and then they'd be flagged for this or that, or and it's because he gets flagged all the time. He may not tell you that, but
for the music. I believe it.
Yeah, and sometimes images and things like that.
Clips, yeah.
So
I've gotten some every once in a while. One of my old ones will get flagged, maybe because I used a clip or of something a really short, and they'll catch it.
John Campia flagged me the other day. So
for what?
It was an old video that James and I did where we were kind of making fun of him and using clips and stuff like that. But it was is he really still Googling his name and
Well, now there's this thing on YouTube where if somebody uses a clip from your video, it could show up in this section, and you could say, I keep it, or you could request them and remove it. Because I saw apparently somebody was ripping a bunch of my videos and uploading them to some Russian channel. I was like, what the heck? So
I know someone stole some of my Queen of Hearts stuff and started posting it on a random channel. And I don't know why they're trying to do that. They don't get any views on my channel either, buddy. So
yeah, I know. I'm like, I'll leave it up if it has views, but they had 23 views. I'm like, no, I'm taking it down.
Did you see this? I got my t-shirts came in.
Oh, nice.
And they're actually pretty good quality. So I need to get an Inland Empire t-shirt. Did they make those? I should just turn.
You might have to special order.
I should just do a complete Inland Empire month on this channel and lose all my subscribers. Today we're going to watch Inland Empire backwards, and we'll see if it makes any sense that way.
Tomorrow we're going to watch Inland Empire in French.
I once watched Titanic in French, and it works beautifully.
Oh, I bet.
Because when she's like, Jacques. It's beautiful. So anyway, since technically we're supposed to be talking about Twin Peaks and not Ghostbusters and Friday the 13th. But the problem is you bring up, a good reference and then you go off into that tangent. That's what's so good and so bad about these videos. So did you see that Jennifer Lynch today posted up a thing for Sherilyn Fenn saying that she's now doing let me see where it is here.
Let's get her working on that book, please.
Did you see it?
No, I didn't. So out of the loop these days.
Well, let me pull it up here. Let's see here. Yeah, here it is.
I like where that's going though.
Well, let's see. Share screen. Okay, here it is. So, yeah, so she posted up this picture, And then she writes, Sherilyn Fenn on Jemmy. I don't know what Jemmy is. I guess it's like a cameo thing or something. You can order one-on-one Zoom coffee dates with her, or private acting coach sessions, or ingenue boot camp, or personalized videos, or autograph posters, or saddle booties, whatever that means. But yeah, you can actually order yourself like to have coffee with Sherilyn Fenn.
Yeah, that must be some new app or something.
I don't know. I wonder if they'd let us record those coffee things. We could have her on this channel.
Hey, price is right.
Probably, yeah. But anyway, so that's the big news happening there. Top says, "Where did I get my cool T-shirt?" You know what? I honestly don't remember. But I got off one of those Facebook sponsored ad things I always get. Well, it's like, order these T-shirts, and one of them was Twin Peaks, and I went through it. There was like 50 T-shirts, and I ordered 4 of them because you got like a discount if you did. The 4 I got came out really good. I'm very happy with them. And this looks like they just took the poster and ironed it on here. I mean, it's very new looking. So
you never know what you're gonna get with those ad things. You could get complete garbage, or you could get the best thing in the world.
The 4 I got came out really, really good.
Nice.
So the other ones I got is like, one's got the Alcave symbol, and then one has not the ring, but I mean the full Alcave thing. And then one has like Cooper drinking coffee with like the owl, but it's like the woods at night. And then the other one,
I think I've seen that one.
But the one I wanted has the One Eye Jacks logo on it. But I only got it with the logo because they had one with the logo and it's saying One Eye Jacks brothel at the bottom, and I didn't feel like wearing that out in public, so I just got the one with the logo. I don't want people looking at me strange, like, what are you doing going to a brothel?
Is that the official slogan?
I have no idea. But did you see Jeremiah's face when I said you can talk about Annie running One Eye Jacks, and he's like thinking, like, did he just drop a clue or something? I was like, that's not real, man.
Nope.
That's always been one of my go-to jokes from people with people. I'm like, well, you know, there's a whole bunch of Annie and One Eye Jacks, and everyone freaks out when I say that. Like, what did you do? What did you do?
How dare you?
That's where all the money went. I hired a bunch of call girls and made One Eye Jacks.
A pure recreation of One Eye Jacks.
See, I don't understand why they did the Red Room with those clubs. You know, when they did those Twin Peaks pop-up clubs and stuff like that, they should have just done One Eye Jack clubs. That would have been amazing.
I'm surprised they stopped them a while back, but surprised they didn't try to keep those going.
I mean, people would run out of interest, and nothing would be more humiliating than opening one up and no one showing up.
I think I'd probably get the same crowd over and over again. The novelty would wear off for people that aren't hardcore Twin Peaks fans.
And you can't do it now.
Definitely not now. They are doing a pop-up movies in Red Bank at the end of the month. Red Bank, New Jersey.
Right. What are they showing besides Clerks?
I don't think they're showing anything. They're just going to sell vegan burgers and other kinds of fast food. Not sure what else is going on there, but I got my reservation in.
Oh, you're going?
Yeah, I figured I'd check it out. I got to, support the one dude. Well, there's more than one dude from New Jersey, but Kevin Smith.
Oh, is he going to be there?
I don't know. He might be there. Not sure.
Let's see here. Any comments or questions in the chat? Just seems like just random stuff here. Yeah, there hasn't been any new news in a while, so or all the news that we've been making up on this on these channels, trying to
our news,
decipher what's happening and what's not happening.
The non-rumors that were turning into rumors, the subtle suggestions, if that.
Yeah. Well, while we're waiting for that, let me ask you, what's going on with you?
Well, today is my first day of vacation, and I'm going to be going up to Maine for a couple days, trying to be as socially conscious as possible. But I need to take a break, so I might have some Maine footage coming, a little Maine reel like I've been doing.
You gonna go up to
summer.
Lake Placid or something?
Actually, Lake George, I believe. I'm not staying on the lake. That would be cool. I'm staying with a friend, but we'll probably wander around a little bit as long as it's not too crowded or anything.
I doubt it.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's not crowded. It's never crowded. It's Maine. If it's crowded, I don't know what you did wrong.
Why don't you go visit Stephen King?
I want to at least pass by his house. And in Bangor, I haven't been yet. Anytime I've been to Maine, I haven't been over to his house, which apparently is going to turn into some kind of writing sort of getaway thing.
Yeah, that's cool. And I think the pet cemetery is behind his house too, or is that his previous house?
Not sure. I think my friends know where that is though.
Right. Well, they shot it. They shot the original movie at the real location.
Yeah, I'm going to see if we could pass by. I put it on the agenda, so we'll see if we have time for it.
I think Maine to me is fascinating, just like Washington State is fascinating because it's the top of the country on the opposite side.
Mm-hmm.
And just
they're
like
very similar.
Yeah, they're very dark and dreary places.
Very similar. I mean, yeah, same kind of same kind of trees, a lot of the same kind of animals on both sides. I mean, I don't know if Washington has a moose problem, but people say watch out for the bears. Those moose are terrifying. They're like 8 feet tall, some of them.
Oh yeah,
terrifying.
So if you ever decide to do your Twin Peaks fan film, you could just go to Maine instead of Washington.
I mean, that the one I'm thinking of, that kind of might be the plan. If I could get it figured out before next summer or something. Maybe I could do my short one.
That would be the most cost-efficient way.
And you could go film and nobody bothers you. You could find a bunch of pine trees or whatever you need, and you'll have the cloud. You'll have the dreariness, and hopefully it can make for something good. I'm starting to think about it more. I'm starting to write down some ideas. So
cool.
It might happen.
Neil says, what's the release date for the new Ghostbusters? I don't know. It got pushed back with everything.
It's a good question. I also don't know.
I don't think
I've been meaning to look it up. I don't know if they pushed it back to you know what? Oh, yeah, March 5th, 2021, it looks like.
It's not coming out March 5th, 2021. It'll be like summer 2021 pay-per-view on Vudu.
I mean, yeah. I still haven't gotten to... I'll probably watch Bill and Ted over the weekend, but it seems like it's probably going to head down that path.
Spoiler alerts. If our current president is reelected, this will be our future for the next 4 years. So just get comfortable, ladies and gentlemen.
Gonna have to buy a new chair.
Yeah, to buy a bigger place to live, there'll be too much in here because this will be my whole world in this house.
I don't even want to think about it.
I know. I'm just saying. People are like, oh, do you think school is going to come back? I'm like, not if he's reelected. Schools aren't coming back. So you better get used to teaching your kids at home. So
Twin Peaks season 4 is going to be a Zoom call.
Pretty much. It'll be all like that Doc Hayward that scene. Yeah, so I don't know. And Kyle hasn't put anything strange on his except him running away from a bear, I think.
Yeah, I think that was an old promo though that he's just reusing. I thought I had seen that before.
Okay. And he's in some movie now with Ethan Hawke.
Tesla about yeah. I actually watched for the first time. I watched Showgirls a couple weekends ago. I had never seen it before. I wasn't sure what to expect.
What's your opinion on Showgirls?
It's hysterical for one. It's
not a bad movie. It's not a bad movie.
It's manic.
It's manic, but it's well made. Like you can tell some real money went into that movie.
Oh yeah, I mean it's shot well. Technically, it's well. Some of the dialogue, I'm not. It's a little cringy, but
oh yeah.
There's a lot of interesting stuff that happens in that movie. I honestly expected Kyle to be more of a like he wasn't as sleazy as I thought he was gonna be from like what people told me. They kept making him seem like he's gonna be like this terrible guy, and he's just kind of like this entertainment like douchey type. I didn't think he was as bad as people made him out to be in that movie.
No, but I mean that movie is there's nothing like it, you know. I mean, there are things like it, but Paul Verhoeven
to that level.
Yeah, I mean, Verhoeven coming off RoboCop and Total Recall and Basic Instinct to make that, you know. Neil asks, "Do you think Jaws will ever get remade?" Absolutely.
I mean, they've already remade it. They just called it something else. They remade it several times.
Jaws 2, 3, and 4.
No, I mean like Megalodon and all those, you know, shark movies. I don't know. I think those are your Jaws remakes right there. They won't ever call it Jaws, but that's what they are.
Oh, everything's going to be remade. The moment Zemeckis and Spielberg are not on this planet anymore, Back to the Future will get rebooted.
I could see that happening, although that would break me.
What'd you think of the John Boyega news that came out today?
I thought it was, you know, he's right. It seemed that way. It's not really news because he's said stuff like this before in the past.
Right.
And it checked out for me. I'm like, sure, yeah. I mean, say how you feel after, you know, Chadwick Boseman passing away. I think maybe he felt like he needed to speak out because he felt like he was wrong with the Star Wars movies. So, and I think Finn was probably one of the better characters in that new series, and they kind of snubbed him.
Yeah, the way they treated him, they should have just had him be dead at the end of Force Awakens instead of getting in a coma. I gotta tell you, that Chadwick Boseman thing hit me hard.
Yeah, I didn't expect to be as upset as I was with that.
I was very upset, and I went back and I watched a lot of things that he had done, and you had turned me on to the whole Tonight Show scene with the Black Panther.
Mm-hmm. It's
very hard to watch that and not, like, you are made of stone if you're not moved by something like that. Top says, I watched Valley Girl with Nick Cage last night. It's like a prequel to Wild at Heart. More or less.
We watched that movie.
More or less is, you know, Wild at Heart is like where Nicolas Cage like becomes like a man. Before then, he was like, he's in all these movies. Peggy got married, but he acts like Gumby. And then there's Moonstruck, where he's just screaming about they chopped his hand off or whatever it was. It's just like, okay, whatever, dude. But Wild at Heart, you're just like, who is this guy? Like, he's so, not only is he playing a character, but he embodies Sailor Ripley so much that you're just like, this is Sailor Ripley.
Yeah. We're seeing Nick Cage and Sailor. These are the same guy. I actually rewatched it a couple days ago.
A Wild at Heart?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
I think I give it a watch I mean, I love it. That movie from beginning to end, I love it. Soundtrack is phenomenal.
I honestly think that's the best performance that Lynch got out of Laura Dern.
I can't say I've seen her in anything like that where she's done anything
of his films.
But even in general, I mean, I can't. She's done like brilliant stuff, but I can't at that level. I don't know. I've never seen her because she was very much a character. Like she was a character. I've never really seen that. She's always kind of Laura Dern.
But Sailor and Lula, like, you know it's Nicolas Cage, you know it's Laura Dern, but you totally buy them as Sailor and Lula. Like, there's you don't go, you know you're looking at Nicolas Cage and Laura Dern, and yet it's almost like they blend into it so well that it's just Sailor and Lula.
That's what I mean, especially with a lot of Laura Dern's newer movies, like her and Star Wars. It's like I'm looking at Laura Dern play a character instead of, that character is Laura Dern, is being played, is Laura Dern, just like Nick Cage is Sailor. I haven't seen her in too many recent things anyway that it feels like it's like, I don't know, seamless that way.
No, absolutely. I think, Wild at Heart it's a wild movie. There's so many things going on in it, but everyone walks into that film, even if it's for 5 seconds, and they own those characters. Obviously Willem Dafoe, Isabella Rossellini, but even just like the little characters that Lynch like peppers throughout the thing, like when he's got those two guys sitting outside Big Tuna, Texas, talking about how crazy it is here and stuff like that. And when they're at the mobile park, like you totally buy those guys as like hanging out at a mobile park.
Yeah, I've seen those guys before. I've run into those guys before, for sure. I actually think Wild at Heart is starting to become, every time I watch it, I think it becomes closer and closer to being my favorite Lynch.
It's one of those because it's so cinematic. When a lot of his films, as much as I like them, that one really wears its cinematic like sleeve. You know what I mean? It's very big, and it's very wide. Sailing and Lilo, when they're driving, they're totally on opposite sides of the screen. So like when you saw that movie theater, it was just like you had to look like this, back and forth. And he really wanted to make a movie or a film with that one. And when you see these opening credits, and then the next film he makes called Twin Peaks Firewalk With Me, it's kind of like, oh man, Wild at Heart kind of like stole the whole fire motif, and so there is no fire in Firewalk With Me,
Yeah, no, there isn't. All the fires in Wild at Heart.
Pretty much. We have somebody named Smarty Pants here that says, what do you guys like better, seasons 1, 2, and 3? I have a stock answer for this, so I'll let you go ahead.
Probably 2, since I feel like it's the most Twin Peaks. And it's the most diverse Twin Peaks we've probably gotten.
What do you mean diverse?
Just in terms of story, there's a lot of stuff in season 2. See, the first half of season 2 is very different from the second half of season 2. Even the first, maybe half is even wrong. The first third of season 2 is different from the middle and the end. It's crazy.
So I would say the best season of Twin Peaks is season 1, because it's 7 episodes. It's like perfect all the way through. There's not one scene that's wrong. My favorite season, though, is season 2. I have to acknowledge that season 1 is the best because it's perfect. Season 2 has problems, but sure. it's still my favorite season because there's so much, like you said, there's so much happening in it, and season 2 is where Twin Peaks becomes really Twin Peaks. Major Briggs in season 1 is the stern father, Bobby Briggs. Major Briggs in season 2 is an entirely new character. So that's what I gravitate towards. Season 3, I really, really like. I even love a lot of it, but I know it's Twin Peaks. It's so separate from the other 2 seasons. It's so its own thing that I can't even compare it.
It's hard to, put those all in the same pool. I'd say even 1 and 2 are, drastically different.
Oh, absolutely.
They look similar, but it's like 3. It's like we said last time. It's almost 3 different shows.
Season 1, the horror, humor, mystery, everything's like interlocked like this. In season 2, the humor gets broader, but then the horror gets more monstrous.
Yep.
There's nothing like Bob and Madeline in season 1. And there's nothing like the Pine Weasel in season 1. So, we do have some interesting news. Gary Norris says, Sainsbury in the UK is a supermarket chain, won't be selling physical media. Gary North says HMV won't make it into 2021. And I heard today that Disney in Latin America is stopping all of their physical media.
Wow.
Not in America, Latin America. But that's a testing ground for what's going to happen. Why release anything on Blu-ray when they got all the Disney Plus? You know, and then they can control when you see it. They can put it back in the Disney vault.
Yep.
Kyle's last name says Firewalk With Me is the bridge between the original and the return. Absolutely.
Yep.
We've been saying that. So are you ordering any of the upcoming Twin Peaks books? Are you getting the Mark Frost book? Are you getting Laura's Ghost? Are you getting any of that stuff?
I have not pre-ordered anything. I haven't really thought about it either, to be honest.
I pre-ordered the Laura's Ghost one just because it's not just one writer, it's a bunch of people. And Cheryl Lee wrote something, and Sabrina Sutherland wrote something. So that's the one I lean towards.
That's the one that's piqued my interest. I'm curious about the Mark Frost one, but it's not something I'm running out for just yet.
Once the Mark Frost one dips below the $22 Amazon price, once it gets around 15 or 16, I'll buy it. But to me, it's just
kind of how I feel.
A little pricey. Although the Secret History of Twin Peaks, someone posted yesterday that they found it online at a bookstore for $5. Hardback.
No, yeah, they dropped pretty drastically. Barely a month after it was released. So
Take the Ring yesterday said that he feels like the Secret History will be like Jennifer Lynch's diary, that it's going to go out of print, and then 30 years from now, that is going to be one of the most sought after books ever, and it's going to be selling for like $150 online.
I mean, if that's true, I'm going to go buy a whole bunch of them right now. But I don't know.
I've had my Jar Jar Binks doll for 25 years to, still in the box. And I was like, this thing's going to make me a fortune when I'm older. It's still worth the same price I paid for it. So.
I could see that.
Unfortunately.
It was interesting, actually. Speaking of Maine, last time I went to Maine, they were exhibiting it last August. They had a big shelf full of it, and there was like a write-up from one of the employees too. They were like really trying to push this Twin Peaks book in a random little bookstore in Bar Harbor, Maine. I was shocked. I'm like, wow, I did not expect that to see in this little bookstore that right next to a bunch of like plush dolls and kids' toys and books. So it was a little weird, but yeah, they were really trying to get those out the door.
I like the Final Dossier more, even though I still have problems with the Final Dossier. But I do think the Secret History, in the long run, will be the most respected of the two books. Even though I wasn't the biggest fan of it.
I mean, I liked it. It was, it was immersive for me. You got to learn a lot about that town and live in it a little bit and know about the history, obviously. Now, if it's canon, that's a different question, and I don't know.
I keep accidentally hitting Take the Rings banner on here, so people are subscribing to his channel like crazy and not subscribing to us.
Come on, guys.
Did you hear him? He's like, I put up conversations of me and Cameron talking, and nobody clicks on it. That's because people hate me. So.
I mean, I put up tons of stuff that isn't Twin Peaks related. The only things that hit are Twin Peaks videos.
I'm so sad. Like, I've done interviews on people's channels, and then they delete their videos, and it's like they delete our interview and stuff like that. Makes me so sad. I'm like, at least give me back the video so I can put it up on my channel.
Repurpose it, yeah.
So it's okay. It's okay. So yeah, there's not much going on at all. Neil, I see your question about Ash versus Evil Dead, but I haven't really watched that show. I own it, but I haven't watched it yet. So I know a little bit about it because I've seen the movies, and I've seen the first episode, but I haven't watched it. But I've heard mixed things, obviously.
Yeah, I don't know. It's been a. I mean, we talked about all the rumors. Nothing has really happened. I'm trying to think of anything that might have come out. They came out with some more of those toys or little collectibles.
Oh, I'm selling that one. Did I tell you about that?
The double R one?
Yeah.
I didn't know you got it.
Oh yeah, I got it right here. I'm getting rid of it because once I got it in my hand, I was like, this is not as cool as I thought it was going to be. Like, I thought this would be kind of a fun thing to get. And no, it's just kind of lame. And apparently the owl's head doesn't bobble. So it's not really a bobblehead. I don't know why it's called bobbleheads, but the owl doesn't move. I don't know.
It's a strange item.
I don't know. It's like, so I'm putting on eBay.
Sure, someone will snatch it up.
Oh yeah, absolutely. It's unopened in the box and it's sold out, so I should be able to get rid of that one. But I did get the artisan set, which we talked about last time. So that's pretty much it. See, Kyle's last name says The Secret History does a great job of adding meaning to season 2 plot lines that I really didn't care about at the time. Dougie and Lana.
A lot of Milford stuff.
I don't want to know anything about Lana. The less about Lana, the better.
Oh, Lana.
Yeah. I mean, it was bad enough they took up so much screen time in season 2.
I always forget it, and then I rewatch it, and I'm like, oh, wow, yeah. We need to speed this part up.
And what sheriff station and FBI agent stands by and lets an old man with a shotgun go into a room alone with a young girl?
He's just an old man, though. It's cute, right?
I don't know.
Being sarcastic, by the way.
My goodness. It's unbelievable. The lack of law enforcement in that town. They just let
the folksy little Washington town.
Now, Mayor, you go in there alone. We'll wait. It's like, what the hell? And they think they're all clever by like fading out to a commercial and then coming back and Cooper's still standing there. It's like, my goodness.
It was the gag. They did it for a bit. I don't know if it necessarily paid off. I'm sure it did for somebody.
It's funny though, because Take the Ring was talking about Wizard of Oz stuff and totally spaced, but there's that Twin Peaks commercial where Cooper wakes up and goes, "Oh, and you were there, and you were there."
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so there's a Wizard of Oz reference there as well. So Lynch definitely is all about the Wizard of Oz. I mean, he even names Isabella Rossellini Dorothy in Blue Velvet.
Wizard of Oz is the most transparent of the influences. Obviously, he maybe takes visual cues from a lot of other places, but story-wise, a lot of it goes back to Wizard of Oz. It could have been the only movie he's ever watched, and I'd believe somebody could tell me that, and I'd believe it.
Do you guys realize that in 1990, Twin Peaks was getting Super Bowl numbers? I'm talking about 100 million viewers. The pilot did, not the series. The pilot got a lot of viewers.
I was not born yet.
The pilot got something like 50 million views. But that's all. That's all. There were only 3 networks, guys. So calm down. Actually, no, there were 4. 4 with Fox.
What was the max amount of views the return episodes got?
2 million. And that was taken in streaming.
What? Yeah. Yeah. Look, for the season to date, the 16. Yeah, maybe even less than that. Yeah, grows to about 2 million per episode, with only 372,000 watching. Maybe during the live runs. Wow.
So I'm looking at this right now. I can't even believe this. Are you serious? Unbelievable. Let's see. This is unbelievable, if this is true. Okay. It says that Firewalk With Me, on a budget of $10 million, which of course you have to factor in marketing and all that, pulled in 4.2 at the box office. So that's a bomb, right?
Yep.
Inland Empire made $4 million at the box office. That's staggering. Lost Highway, 3.8. So Lost Highway made less than Firewalk With Me did. And yet Lost Highway is considered, or at least at the time, it was considered better.
And I'm assuming Lost Highway cost more.
Let's see.
Maybe around the same at the time.
He likes to keep his budgets around the same. So let's see. Okay. So Lost Highway cost $15 million. So yeah, it says the movie lost a lot of money, made 3.8 on a budget of $15 million.
So what was the most is there any profitable David Lynch movie?
I'm assuming Mulholland Drive and The Straight Story. Let's see. So
wow.
Straight Story budget. The Straight Story Straight Story was $10 million. So again, $10 million. And box office, I'll bet you this is just Straight Story was made for $10 million, made $6. So let's look at
closer.
Mulholland Drive. Now that
this is very interesting
because it's TV. Okay, so Mulholland Drive, $15 million budget, made 22. Okay. And what was the Inland Empire budget? I'm just curious because that looked like it was made for about $5.
So Mulholland Drive is the only one that's made money.
So, no, Inland Empire's now made money. So Inland Empire is made for $3 million. Shocking, because it literally looks like it has the budget of the Blair Witch Project, and it made $4.
Wow.
And let's look at the Elephant Man because people are. I know it says the Elephant Man, and Dune lost money too.
I believe Dune. Dune was the one that I.
So the Elephant Man cost $5 million and made $5 million.
Oh, so they broke even.
Not unless you take it marketing.
Well, just going by those numbers, I mean, but. Yeah, so, you don't want to break even either.
So, and we know Dune lost money. So the only two films that he's ever made that's profitable is Mulholland Drive and Inland Empire. No, Blue Velvet. Blue Velvet had to have.
Oh yeah, Blue Velvet. If Blue Velvet didn't make it, I'd be very surprised.
Okay, so let's see. Blue Velvet's budget was $6 million. Yeah, Wild at Heart. Let's see. Blue Velvet budget was $6 million. And let's look at box office. I want to look at Wild at Heart too, real quick.
This is fascinating. Okay, so I never looked this up.
The Blue Velvet made 8.6.
And cost 6.
Yes, so that made money.
Okay.
And Wild at Heart made money because Wild at Heart, with $9.5 million budget, made $15 million. So yeah, so Blue Velvet, because I was going to say he can't have that many bombs and still make movies. Like they would never be giving him money. He had to have made something profitable. So I'm assuming Eraserhead made money. Blue Velvet made money. Wild at Heart made money. But then he didn't have a box office profit till Mulholland Drive over a decade later.
The 90s were not good for David Lynch.
No.
Money-wise, anyway.
Well, movie-wise, maybe painting and music and stuff like that. But so Mulholland Drive, Inland Empire made a little bit of money. I can see why he took a 10-year break.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. So that's not a lot of profit. And how do you make a movie for $15 million and have it gross $3 million? And Lost Highway was considered at the time his comeback movie. But I think that movie made more money on the soundtrack than it did, obviously, on the movie. But
I believe that.
That movie was everywhere when it came out. Lost Highway was like the movie when it came out. So it shocks me that it made 3.8.
But studios have to know, like, they must have known what they had. Those must have been like the cult classic plays. Like, we're going to have a David Lynch movie under our belt, and then it's not going to, we'll make money later. I don't know if, I know some studios thought that way. I know not all, but
I bet you they are all profitable now. Mm-hmm. With all the releases and stuff like that.
Now for sure. So whoever made that decision made a good decision in the end.
I agree with Gary North. The period between Firewalk With Me and Lost Highway seemed like 20 years. There was talk after Firewalk With Me that he was done. There was actual talk that he had retired, that Firewalk With Me's box office was so bad that he had given up filmmaking because 5 years went by with nothing. But now he waits 10 years between projects. So, but yeah, that's true. And Neil says Lynch really should have just made Return of the Jedi. He would have had a hit. Since Dune was such a disaster for him, probably should have done Return of the Jedi. But then we wouldn't have had Blue Velvet and Twin Peaks because he never would have met Kyle, Everett McGill. What is her name? Who plays the Hayward girl, the redhead?
Oh, Alicia Whitty.
Yeah, wait, she's in Dune, and so you wouldn't have been able to get Jack Nansen to Jabba's palace. So.
Yeah, that was kind of like a it worked out for the best. I think. I don't know. He would have had a very different career. I don't know if we would have gotten a lot of the movies we loved. I don't think we would have gotten Mulholland Drive if he had done Return of the Jedi.
That would have been great, though, to see an alternate timeline of David Lynch being a mega director in the 80s. Can you imagine?
Can
you imagine David Lynch's Howard the Duck?
Or Fast Times?
I think he could have made a great film out of Fast Times at Ridgemont High. I really do. I think that all the stuff dealing with Jennifer Jason Leigh, losing her virginity and all that stuff, that's right up there with Firewalk With Me. I think
if we ever figure out interdimensional travel, we could get those movies.
I'd love it. I agree with Rob. I think this is revisionist history. Because I was pretty tapped into all the David Lynch Twin Peaks news at that time. There was no discussion at that moment about a trilogy of Twin Peaks films. That came out later. It's like, oh, we were going to do a trilogy, but then you guys didn't support Firewalk With Me, so we scrapped those plans. There was no talk about that. If there was talk about that, maybe more fans would have shown up.
I don't know. I obviously was too young to be aware of the stuff at that time, but yeah. I've been a Twin Peaks fan for like 10 years now. And I didn't even really hear about that until maybe 5 or 6 years ago.
Mm.
I don't know when that rumor started coming out, but
I think it was in the mid 90s, but it didn't get very far. Like, it wasn't one of those, things that everybody knew about.
I'm still my new running theory is that the sequel to Firewalk With Me is going to be Firewalk With Me, recut for the new timeline or whatever. That's my new running theory.
That it's going to be a mixture of all the previous stuff together.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, you may be right, because it would save them a lot of time and money.
Yeah, that's my rationale, more from a practical standpoint, where they could use all the footage they already have. They already have that movie, just add some stuff to it.
So Lynch or Sabrina hinting that he was working on a new cut of Firewalk With Me. Maybe it began as we're going to make a new cut with the missing pieces, and then it became something else.
That's why it didn't come out. Yeah. What other thing can you do this with? Is like re-release a movie you've put out several times, but make it its own sequel with your new timeline. Like, that's super unique. And it's a little gimmicky, but I think it works. It would work.
Oh yeah, and it would, tie into everything pretty well. So
we'll see. I'm probably wrong, could be wrong, but I could see it as a possibility.
Oh, absolutely. All right, guys, get any last minute comments or questions in, and then we're gonna wrap this up. Neil says, "I wonder how much season 3 cost in total." I think we've thought about this. If we say every episode was, let's say, $2 million,
that's kind of where I'm thinking.
I think it was a $40 million budget.
I'm thinking somewhere between 30 and 40.
Yeah.
Obviously, I don't know for real, but that's kind of what I was ballparking too.
It couldn't have been $100 million. They would have had,
I think episode 8 might have been 3 million a lot.
Well, from what I heard was, except for Kyle, everybody else worked for scale, which is $1,500 a week. And probably a lot of those actors didn't work longer than a week.
Yeah, I'm sure.
So, Gary says, no internet back then. No one talking about Lynch. I remember seeing a Lost Highway poster and thinking, finally, a new Lynch movie. And Lynch has even said that Lost Highway takes place in the same world as Twin Peaks.
The world of dreams.
Well, I mean, of course he would say that since it's based off the James and Evelyn storyline. Lost Highway is the James and Evelyn storyline, just done for the big screen.
Yeah, and spiced up.
Spiced up a bit, yeah. I was talking with James the other day, and I said that should be, if he ever made a fan film, that should be his fan film called Just You and I, the James and Evelyn story.
And he plays James?
Maybe. I don't know.
I could see that. You should take that on.
He should. And you should do yours. And I'm working hard on mine. So I'm editing every day.
Twin Peaks fan film universe.
Why not? Let's do it.
We're getting down to the wire. It's September 3rd now. At least on the East Coast, it's September 3rd.
Look, I can try. It's a self-imposed date. It will come out this year, but this COVID thing is crazy. Trying to organize people. Also, having my 2-year-old running through the house. Like if this was me 5 years ago, this thing had already be done. Because I could just get up and edit and spend all day, 18-hour days editing, and be great. I have like small windows of time to edit. So sometimes what might take me a day to edit takes me like 3 days to edit. So
I hear you.
It's a long journey. And then I got to do the sound work, and then I got to do the effects, and then I got to do the titling and all that stuff. So it's a long journey.
I believe you.
So
for sure.
Trust me, if it was up to me, I would just be like, upload now, just done, be done with it. I got other things I got to do. Rob says, I remember renting the Firewalk With Me tape, and everybody thought it was totally irrelevant. Twin Peaks was so history for so many. This was like 92, 93. Unfortunately, never for me, obviously. That's true. So the idea that they wanted to take Twin Peaks all the way to 1995 is laughable to me, because by 93 it was like that. Why are you going back and watching old episodes? That was a long time ago.
You know, it's ironic. People say that people get over things, like they watch and they get over it real quick, but that's always been the case. I feel like, and when out with the old and with the new, that's always been a thing.
And by the time the X-Files came out, Twin Peaks was like a distant dream.
It seems like it was like, decades apart, but it was only a couple of years.
Oh yeah. And I mean, when that movie came out, when Firewalk With Me came out, it was over a year since the show had been off the air. It came out 14 months later, which is a long time. 91 and 92 back then with no internet. And, that was at a time, Joey. Yes, there was a time like this where you would go to a movie theater, sit down. They would play a trailer, let's say for what is that? What is that movie? Batman Returns. And you would turn to your friend and say, "They made another Batman movie?" There was no discussion about stuff. It just, you went to the movie theaters and found out through the trailers what they were making.
I'm just old enough to know that feeling, because the internet didn't really come until I was 10. I didn't think we got it until I was maybe 10 or 11, 2000.
Sometimes I wish we were back in those times. Like, I love the internet. Trust me, I love it. I wouldn't be doing this show if I wouldn't know you, I wouldn't know any of you guys. Queen of Hearts wouldn't be being made right now if it wasn't for the internet. But the world just seems so much simpler and nicer. But if it wasn't, it just felt better. I don't wake up and immediately get bombarded with bad news on my feed.
Oh yeah, I've been using social media a lot less recently because it's too much.
It is.
The thing is, I would argue that on that thought, I think I'd argue that we're still in control of it. I mean, we could just shut the phone off. We won't have any idea. We could go outside and not have a clue.
It's true.
What's going on? I still think people have that ability if they choose.
I love this idea, though, of like jumping into another world. Like the internet is like, it is the Matrix. It's like, it's a whole other thing. Like when I get in my office and I turn on the camera, it's a whole other place,
For sure.
Yeah. But yeah, X-Files was massive. See, I didn't really, I knew it was massive. I didn't follow it because I was away at school. So I didn't have TV then. So, or I did, but it was on my roommate's side of the room, so I couldn't hook up the cable. So I never watched the X-Files. I own the whole damn thing. I've never watched a single episode. But I was always mad at it because I was like, Twin Peaks came out and burnt out, and X-Files went on for like
still happening. Yeah, sort of.
I wasn't happy about it. Now that there's some distance, I might take a look at it.
I like X-Files. I'm not a hardcore fan, but
yeah. Gary Norris says
is not doing so hot.
Browsing video stores for new movies was a great time. Oh, remember those days? Get together with some friends, hit the video store.
Yep.
Blockbuster would always hit you with the late fee when you didn't have a late fee.
We went to it was a West Coast video here that turned into an East Coast video. And that was our like local video store.
Mm.
I actually did a whole deep dive on video stores. I'm like, why did video stores actually go out? And apparently video stores were just never actually profitable. It was never a good business. Even for Blockbuster, who didn't really make a profit till 2013.
Mm. So Netflix wasn't the reason.
No, it was just never. So I did I tried to figure out, I'm like, what actually killed video stores, and it was just they never were really making enough money to sustain ever. So it just wasn't a good model. It's this thing that we romanticize, but for people that owned those businesses, they weren't making a lot of money. Even Blockbuster wasn't making a lot of money. So
they were making more money on the
late fees.
The XX. Oh yeah. Well, that's what they.
That's their that was the majority of their profit margins. They would make millions and millions a year off of late fees.
So what Best Buy would do, they would give a late fee to everybody, and then you'd go up to the counter and they'd be like, "Oh, you have a late fee." And if you even said one thing like, "No, I turned that movie in." Oh, okay, that'll be $3.22. But most people would be like, "Oh, okay, put it on," and that's how they did it. But if you argued with them even a second, they took it off.
Wow.
Yeah.
See, that's where those things made all their money. It was late fees. That was the model. Bet on people. It's like with gyms, bet on people not coming in, or bet on people turning in things late, and that's how you make your money.
All right. So let's wrap this up, since you say your internet's going off. All right. So tell everybody about your social media accounts that you're not logging into right now.
I mean, if you ever want to chat about Twin Peaks or anything about movies, and how video stores maybe were not the best business, you could always reach out to me. Twitter at Joey Pedras. Instagram is the same thing. And if you like videos where we talk about Twin Peaks and entertainment news, and I'm doing a lot of DC stuff lately too, check out the YouTube page. Joey Pedras, just search that and you'll find the page.
And you're also a movie star because you were in Joker.
Yes. I was an uncredited background actor in Joker.
Are you going to put that on your IMDb?
It is on my IMDb. One of their people must have put it.
That's beautiful.
So you search my name and Joker comes up.
It's amazing. I'm on IMDb for the Steve Jobs movie. So.
Oh right, you were in the background, right? I think you told me that once.
Yeah, so I'm on that, and you can currently catch me on HBO on a documentary series. So
still using your voice?
They use it all the way through. I think every episode.
Oh wow!
Yeah,
I have to watch it. I haven't been able to watch it yet.
I had one of my. Gotta make sure it wasn't. I had one of my exes see it and immediately contact me like, "You were on HBO," and I was like, "Yeah, you should never ditch me." So.
Wow. Got him.
Yeah. Yep. All right. Let's see. Oh, then where's mine? Okay, so here we go. Follow me on all my social media. There's plenty of them. You're gonna have to start doing a cameo, I think. Little coffee date with Joey Pedras for like $10.
Hey, if anybody paid $10 to go on a date with me, I'll take it. It's pretty barren over here, especially in the time of COVID.
Oh, you're not doing those what are those, like Match.com, like internet dates?
I've tried them. They're just it's garbage. Nothing ever comes of those, at least for me.
Oh yeah. You know how you're supposed to like put like a tagline on those things, like I don't know, like somebody looking for somebody. I don't know what it is, whatever it is. And this is back in the day, late 90s or early 2000s, whatever it was. I thought, oh, it'd be fun to try something like that. So my tagline was Cooper wants Laura, and nobody understood it.
I actually have Twin Peaks, Twin Peaks on mine, and people are like, I didn't get that show. And that's mostly people saying that.
If someone said that to me, I'd be like, well, I didn't get your email, so delete.
I'm like, I don't know what we're talking about here. You're just going to try to tell me how you didn't like the show? Is this what people do? I don't know. It's all right. Very awkward.
It's all right. The problem was I had to sit through. Well, I didn't have to, because I did like the show. I did like Sex and the City a lot, but it was very sad for me to sit there and watch my beloved Kyle MacLachlan just being treated like such a doofus on that show. And I was just like, I want Kyle MacLachlan to be a man again, like where he was a strong guy. You looked up to him, but when you looked at Sex and the City and Desperate Housewives, he was always just ridiculed.
Yeah,
even
it was played this kind of jerk guy that was, I don't know,
It's like he ran away from the Agent Cooper mold for a long time, and then he realized, oh, that didn't get me anywhere, so let me play Agent Cooper again. But this time he didn't get to play Agent Cooper. He got to play Dougie.
I mean, most people that I talk to that are my age don't know him, or only know him from Portlandia. He's the mayor of Portland. That's what they know him from. Like people my generation that haven't seen Twin Peaks. Yeah. He's the mayor of Portland.
And he was on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
That too, yeah. I mean, Portlandia is a great show. I love that show, but that's his claim to fame among millennials that are not into Twin Peaks anyway.
All right, everybody. It's getting late. It's getting tiring over here, but we still have about 30 people watching right now, which is fantastic. Watching us meander our way through tonight's video.
It's a weird night, guys. Thanks for hanging out.
Yeah, thanks for hanging out. It's always good. It's it's a wild year we're living in. It may become a little bit wilder as the months continue. 2020, I don't feel like has finished sinking its claws into us. I think there's still plenty of time.
It's only September. There's a couple more months.
The Rock and his whole family have COVID.
Oh God, so, is that true?
Yeah, that came out today. Yeah,
that's upsetting. Oh God, I hope nothing happens to The Rock.
No, somebody said that if something happens to The Rock this year, they're going to kill 2020. They're just going to kill the year.
That just made me really paranoid. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, hopefully they're all healthy and fine.
Yeah. All right. Well, thanks for watching, everybody. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channels. Follow us on our social media. Join our Patreons. Support our channels, because there's not many YouTube channels like us out there on YouTube. There's YouTube channels, but there's not YouTube channels like us. So, all right. Have a good night. Talk to you later.